Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to what will be the end of the UAL split. To end it all, we have what can only be called a civil war of teams right now. mAAd City bringing two teams into the playoff finals here. We have mAAd City Wildcard versus mAAd City OG. You know who we are. We're Orbital and Random Minicaster to bring you the best of 5 action. RMC, how you feeling?
I have mixed feelings about the match tonight here, Orbital. It is the finals. That's always fun. But we have heard that this will be mAAD's final swan song here. So win or lose, This is a once in a, I hesitate to say lifetime, but it kind of is a once in a lifetime moment here. Both these teams have made it through third seeds from their respective divisions here. They've battled it, and now I just want to see them pull out all the stops here because it might be the last time we get to see this org here in the UAL.
I mean, is there a better way to end it, though? To be able to say you have brought two teams all the way through, dominating the final match of this split. I don't think there's any other way to end it than that. Of course, that still comes with a lot of bragging rights here, right? You get to say, you get to hold it over that you were the better team at the end of the day.
True.
And they have to do it in 5 games, though, right? First of 3, they're going to have a ball of a time here. So hopefully we get underway very quickly with the champion select. But I mean, RMC, is there one that you're rooting for? I got to ask you, right?
What can I say? I'm rooting for mAAd. I think mAAd really takes it tonight.
Oh,
here.
All right, broken character. Sorry, we're gone. We're gone.
Yeah, but in all honesty, I don't really have somebody, like one team which I favor over the other here. Both these teams have performed so well. We've had the pleasure of watching Wildcard on stream the last couple of weeks here, and they've looked absolutely great. You know, Harmony coming in, despite being a newer mid laner for the team, has been an absolute pop-off player. This week was actually Risen Divine League's highlight player of the week as well, so he's definitely really, really strong. And then I look over to OG, and well, they're OG for a reason. Yes, they were third seed. Yes, they went 3-2 in the regular season, but when we last streamed them, they already told us that that's the game plan. They're not going to burn out early. They're going to take the regular season nice and slow, get into the playoffs, and then ramp up. And boy, have they delivered. They're here in the finals, Orbital, and they've only dropped one game in the playoffs.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, both these teams have only dropped one game in their playoff run at different times, of course, but still only one game apiece. Even back in the regular split, they both ended at 3-2, just one game shy of both. So both these teams have so much experience. They know exactly what they're going for here. And I think it's going to be a grand old time. Now, some of the champions that we hopefully will get to see, obviously, not action. No one wants to see that champion. And it's not allowed. So, of course, we won't see the crazy bugginess that is that character. But let's talk about some of the champions that we may or may not see. Because I know the teams we're talking about a little bit. Camille, probably not going to be seen here.
I mean, that was OG joking a little bit about Wildcard's champion pool, especially Axum in the top lane, has had Camille banned a ton this split, 9 times throughout the split here against Axum. So that's a running joke, along with that Gnar as well. Second most banned champion against the likes of Mad City Wildcard here. So obviously the teams do know each other. They have scrimmed together. Now, Jiggity, the captain of OG here, has boldly predicted a 3-0 here since they do scrim. He says that OG usually wins, but there is a caveat, and that is they've not actually scrimmed recently. And I don't know if they've actually played against Wildcard with Harmony here. I believe Harmony was our MVP last week for the plays, and I just remember the LeBlanc play that we saw, absolutely nutty. The Orianna as well, just getting really solid shockwaves. And if there's ever a time for a Wildcard to upset the game, it's today, it's tonight, it's this best of 5.
Yeah, and we are gonna get OG starting on that blue side, I believe, with Wildcard on the red. We know what both of these sides do tend to mean to these teams. I think both have shown exceptional prowess, whether they get the counter pick or they get that first pick. So many champions are available to them. And I'm you mentioned all these good points, and we finally get to see it in action. So we'll go ahead, hop into that champion select. First ban thoughts. The ideas are there, but the Xin Zhao, of course, will always remain off the table.
Yeah, it is Javi's most played champion here, but Javi has shown that his champion pool is deeper than just that Xin Zhao. That Trundle comes to mind, that both Axum and Javi can flex back and forth to great effect. And now, we know that Wildcard tends to actually play fairly standard, fairly meta, or fairly well thought out to counter the existing meta. But despite their name, Mad City OG actually doesn't play meta. They are the wilder of the two teams. Their champion pool is slightly off. And you can see that immediately from that Graves ban. Yes, Graves is coming back into meta in solo lanes of all things. But no, this one's targeted at Castle, who's been playing Graves even before it was cool to play Graves.
Yeah, we don't get to see what the cool kid can do. Instead, we get even more bans thrown at some of those poke champions, the Varus and the Ziggs, both banned away. And of course, Ziggs, I feel, is the staple red side ban at this point. If you don't have an answer for it, if you can't give it over, it has to be removed.
Yeah, almost more dangerous than that Xin Sao at this point here. And there we go. The Trundle, as we were talking about for Javi and Axum, taken away. Now, Castle's most played champion is not that Xin Sao. It's not even that Graves, really. It's actually Diana here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the Diana ban come out. And then both junglers are sort of forced onto third tier style picks. Lee Sin is still available, and Castle does play that here. So maybe they're thinking, okay, we'll leave up both Diana and Lee Sin. You take one, and we take the other, so that we're both on fairly even footing.
Or not.
Hey.
All right, so the Lee Sin taken off the table. That is technically 4 jungle bans thrown. You mentioned the Diana, but recently it feels like people have started to learn how to play against it. So here's to see if they will blind pick it. Plenty of the champions to blind pick, and that's one of them, LeBlanc, coming back in the meta so strong that it is first pick, for OG.
Yeah, and we saw, like, again, that was the highlight champion for me last week from Harmony there. So I'm not terribly surprised we see it highly prioritized. I am a little bit surprised to see it be one, though, considering the plethora of champions available for both these teams. And the mid lane players here, both Mark Boots and Harmony, have fairly large champion pools. So it really shows how strong this pick is going to be. And of course, right away, Wildcard respond by saying, nope, we are going to take that Diana away from you here. Now you have to pick a not A tier jungler to come through. I mean, there are still obviously a lot of other champions, and Viego, I was going to say, is still up and not nerfed. He's getting nerfed next patch, but for this patch, he is still that broken reset champion, and the Thresh Deny taken away from 35701.
That was immediate too. There was no hesitation whatsoever, and an actual fairly quick counter pick in the support roles. So the ADC and mid are the only staggered picks here. We'll see if those roles are now targeted by their respective teams. But dropping down into the Braum, this Braum actually feels like it might not be so impactful, especially when you think about the LeBlanc and the Viego. Both can kind of diverge around that wall. How well do you think this Braum is actually going to hold up?
Yeah, you're definitely right there, Orbital. It's not great into the LeBlanc and the Viego. Distort, Heartbreaker, both of these kind of ignore that Unbreakable there. But that Glacial Fissure is something you can't ignore unless you're Olaf. So it's still a strong, solid pickup for the Aphelios. And we've seen Nutty Bars pop off before. You just need to get Nutty Bars through the laning phase. And Braum is excellent for that. Regardless what OG end up picking for their AD carry, Braum will be able to protect. And I like the Thresh denial away by OG here, because now they've got so many options. They can pair. Thresh is the most versatile support. He goes with any AD carry, any AP carry for that matter, if that is the way they want to swing. And interestingly enough, Wildcard banning the Ashe and the Kalista. So they're not afraid of hyperscalers. Another champion we often do see paired with that Thresh, similar to that Aphelios, is Jinx, another immobile, hyper carry, hyperscaling champion who is still available for Blueberry here.
Yeah, that would mean, though, a whole lot of priority on that bot side. You know, the LeBlanc and the Viego both take a lot of priority in a draft. So
okay, I thought
That's
they were
great.
trolling, but okay.
straight up, final 2 bans. Listen, if you don't pick it up in the first round, they are going to ban it. Both the Camille and the Gnar are taken away, just saying, listen, we're just going to go for it. Sorry, you don't get to play these two.
I believe the predictions by OG there were ban Gnar, ban Camille, first pick Jace. Well, we'll have to see. That is still an option here, but Vladimir gets picked up, and this is a new one. I don't believe we've seen either Axum or Harmony play it at all throughout this split. It's not a champion that they play a lot of here, but it feels like it's going with their composition, with the fact that they've got Diana, one of the best scaling junglers, Aphelios, best scaling AD carry. Now, Vladimir, one of the best scaling solo laners in the game to boot here. They're really putting the pressure on, and if they do lock in this Jhin, I love the adaptation from OG. They're saying, we're not going to play your game. We're not going to go super late with you. We're looking to have a lane that can take over early, transfer into the LeBlanc mid game, and never let you reach your full potential.
Actually like the Jin for one more reason as well, is the fact that it allows for a little bit of CC and lockdown, right? Long range poke can set up that LeBlanc and Viego to be able to get a stun off, get the root, get the damage, right? So a great chance to work with. Now with that blind pick top lane, you heard it, it was the Jay's call, but it's not the Jay's pick. Instead, it's the Croc in the top lane, and counter pick will go over to that wild card side. Two primary top laners banned away. Plenty more to pick from.
I really like this Renekton pickup. First of all, I actually thought this would be a more contested pick between the two teams because both Axum and mAAd have played a lot of Renekton in their regular season. But mAAd's champion pool is so big that I wasn't sure whether or not they'd go with this. And more importantly, it now gives them multiple lanes to work through for the early game. We talked about the fact that once you lock in that Jhin Thresh, you're looking to take over early here. And having another point of pressure as a failsafe is always really, really strong. My only criticism with that pickup right now is just that they're very heavy on the physical damage. Ideally, you'd want to pair it with a magic damage jungler here, but they went for the LeBlanc first, so they had to fall back on that Viego. So their damage profile, not ideal. I expect to see, the lanes built fairly early armor, especially in the top and bottom lanes for the side of Wildcard here, and that will really help them scale into the mid game with a lot of strength.
Yeah, and to get around that, I mean, you have to look at that early game focus from the Viego into the LeBlanc lane, right? Mark Boots, we talked about it before in previous broadcasts. It always feels like he's so versatile, right? He can play the Lulu if you want to, but this time he is given a carry. So if you are the side of OGs, you gotta question, do you want to prioritize that lane? Do you want to get that LeBlanc ahead? Because a LeBlanc ahead is going to be amazing, but can you willingly sacrifice the top and bot if they start to fall behind?
Yeah, and on top of that as well, the problem is Vladimir is a hard counter to LeBlanc. Yes, a lot of regions right now pick that Lissandra blind. Honestly, I'm not a fan of Lissandra. She's getting buffs in expansion. I still don't think those buffs are enough to make her really a viable champion currently in competitive play. Vladimir, on the other hand, is very, very strong. And the way a LeBlanc beats a Vladimir is you kind of start maxing the chains because that goes through the pool. And if you can land it, you can follow up all the damage. But it's such a difficult skill to try and land consistently. And even worse, it doesn't give you the wave control that Distort gives you. So I think if you're OG right now, you're not thinking necessarily of snowballing this LeBlanc super, super hard. You're going to let the LeBlanc farm up. And that you should be able to do against the Vladimir just fine. And then you're looking to rotate that LeBlanc out 2 skirmishes, 2 side lanes. You've got a strong top and bot as well. So theoretically, on paper, OG should win out early. And I want to see them take advantage of that. Grab the early dragons, grab the early heralds, and snowball quickly before Wildcard can come online.
Yeah, keeping Wildcard in check, making sure they don't go wild in that mid to late game. And it's all going to rely on if Mark Boots can get out of lane and in good standing, right? A LeBlanc 0-0-0 is drastically different than a LeBlanc that's 0-4-0 or anything of the sort. However, if you are rotating the LeBlanc out, you do have to question, how are they going to follow up on the wildcard side? You said scaling, but if it gets out of control, I mean, you do have to put down some pressure. So do you think wildcards will actually sit down, allow some of these earlier objectives to be taken? Or do you feel they still have the power to actually take some of the earlier fights, maybe with the Diana jumping in on the bot side or maybe helping out Wukong on the top?
Realistically, they don't really have a shot pre-6, right? They have very ultimate reliant. But once they hit 6, while they will be weaker in skirmishes, in a full 5v5, look at the tools that Wildcard have drafted themselves. Vladimir Hemoplague is a multiplier here. And then you chain it with all the CC, Moonfall, Cyclone, Glacial Fissure. Sure, you can have all the damage in the world, but if you don't get to right-click, you don't get to move, you can't cast any spells or abilities, then it doesn't matter. Hemoplague finishes ticking. Maybe they win that fight. It's very conditional in the early to mid game, post 6 here for the side of Wildcard, but there are ways for them to win. And from OG, they have to play a little bit respectfully. You don't want to go into these objectives clumped up or you risk losing them.
Well, there you go. The thoughts on both the compositions. I think this is a great way to kick things off. So let's go ahead. We'll go to a very short break. Before we do, make sure to put in your predictions on who you think is going to come out on top, Mad City or Mad City. The Civil War will start right after this break. And we are here finally onto the Rift for game number 1 between mAAd City and mAAd City. So let's run down the differences between these two teams. On the blue side will be mAAd City OG, Innominate in the top lane, Castle in the jungle, Mark Boots in the mid lane, Blueberry at ADC, and Jiggity at support.
And on the red side here, it is going to be mAAd City Wildcard, who have drafted themselves possibly the least wild composition I've seen here with Actum in the top lane. I am Javi in the jungle, Harmony in the mid lane with Nutty Bars and 35701 holding up the bot lane.
Yeah, and you were mentioning it before, right? Contrary to these two names, OG, kind of inspiring, oh, we'll take it easy, the conservative approach, and Wildcard's going wild. You had been able to talk to teams before, and it's like they have the exact opposite playstyles.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if you're calling yourself mAAd City, calling yourselves OG doesn't exactly inspire thoughts of conservative ideas here. I mean, they're the mAAd City, so aggressive play fits the bill here. And maybe, I guess that's why Wildcards have gone with such a stolid, stodgy composition here, where you're just going to sit back, farm, and do nothing for 30, 40 minutes. Then suddenly, 30, 40 minutes, if you're not in a 10k gold deficit, you're just going to come online and absolutely wreck everyone.
We've seen Vladimir's do some crazy things here in the UAL. I want to say it was one of the earlier series where we saw Vladimir straight up almost 1v5.
Yeah.
And I mean, everyone's seen that in your solo queue games and everything of the sort. So really keeping eyes on Harmony. How well is he going to be able to do in this mid lane? How well can he keep Mark Boots contained? And how well can Mark Boots do the same right back?
Well, I don't think we're going to see crazy Vlad action happening in the next couple of minutes, though, Orbital. Usually that sort of 1v5 starts to happen around the 20, 25, 30-minute mark, depending on how fed you can get. And I think step one for Harmony is don't die, because LeBlanc puts a lot of pressure down, and 35701 gets hooked.
Yeah, and that's a large chunk of damage. Heal comes out, flash. So 357, that is a great punish of a level 2. Jiggy actually takes a lot more. One more shot though. Blueberry with the flash under the tower through the exhaust gets a cheeky first blood.
Okay, Wildcard might have picked for the late game, but that was not a late game play coming through from 35701. Walking back into that here, and you give first blood to this Jhin. We already said that OG, they're looking for lane control, and their bot lane, that early kill, once he goes back, Nutty Bars and 35701 got nothing down here for the next 5 minutes.
Oh. All right, so Innominate literally walked forward for 3 seconds and then got a flash out of Axum. So both top and bot already some explosive action.
Yeah, and that top lane, these top laners, they've got really quick fingers there. You saw, I heard one flash sound, and both of them just moved the same distance. So they knew, they were ready, they were waiting. Now, Axum did have to blow teleport here, and I'm glad that Javi's come up to try and shade, cover this top side, but there is a bit of a contest for this scuttle, and Jiggity has moved first.
He's having a great time here. Top lane, though, still seeing a little bit of a touch of Javi double bust up, so that means Innominate's not allowed to give it a shot. Top lane scuttle, though, is taken by Castle. They're going to get a rotate in. Javi not enjoying that. The fly out of the hook from the Fog of War. Great attempt by Jiggity, but a nice flash by Javi.
It's all the lanes. It's not just the top laners here. Javi, again, waiting till the very last second before flashing their heads up play. But this is what we expect from the compositions. And it might look dire for wildcards right now, but this is exactly what they were ready to deal with when you pick this composition. You don't have a single early winning lane here. And sure, Javi doesn't get the scuttle, is falling behind a little bit here, but 4 CS is effectively just one camp, maybe 1.5 since one was a scuttle here. Innominate TPing back to lane, has better items, and that pair of boots is going to be a big deal here. It's going to let him trade and walk away, control the pacing in this top lane.
Not just walk away, walk forward, right? If the lane overextends even a touch from the center of that top, Axum will have to be on the run. He'll always have to be worried about that potential chase down from the Renekton, right? You will not be able to get away. Good little route in mid as Mark Boots applies some pressure back. And JD went on a hard warning mission as Castle stole away a couple wolves. Now we're going to get the fight, and Castle is the first one to potentially get summed up. Concussive blows, lands. That's going to be a flash out from the sniper shot, but a dash back in means Castle is not going to enjoy that death. Mid lane, though, Harmony is taken out. Mark Boots feeling great, and a collapse from OG might spell an early game disaster. Wildcards have got to run away. Javi gets flashed out. Hook lands onto Aphelios, and Nutty Bars goes down in the jungle exchange. It ends in a bloody 3-for-1.
And they might not be done yet. Harmony TP'd right back into the lane and walked into Innominate, who walked down from that top side right now. It's buying Axum a little bit of time, but Axum needs more than just one wave to even things up. OG not only win that fight, not only get 2 kills apiece on Mark Boots and Blueberry at this early point of the game, but they get Ocean Dragon as well to make their laning phase even that much more potent.
I still can't believe that occurred off of Castle getting caught. Like, that's what surprised me the most. It happened when Castle got caught, yet the collapse was so good. So OG, you said it, right? Playing an early game composition, that's exactly what you want to do with that comp. Keeping eyes on Blueberry and Mark Boots on what they can do with these 2 kills. Bot lane, Nutty Bars, trying to get a bit of extra gold back.
Orbital, saying caught sounds so... Like, you make it sound like a mistake when you're this far ahead, when you've got winning lanes. It's all a matter of perspective. Castle wasn't caught. Castle was bait. And they caught Javi coming in. They caught Harmony coming in. They caught Nutty Bars coming in. And part of that goes back to Blueberry, right? We talked about the fact that you gave this Jhin first blood. And Blueberry comes back to lane. Look at the item difference here. It's Call versus Pickaxe. There's really no difference in a fight. Harmony actually burning the Hemo Plague early.
Yeah, that was a chance at a kill. Maybe if Javi had gotten into range, but of course the Lantern was there. So that's why Harmony felt okay trying to take that trade. Still though, mid lane, big thing is Harmony is keeping up in farm. That death that he had was a solo kill, by the way. Mark Boots was able to get that on his own. And that's why Harmony's playing much more conservatively. I wouldn't be surprised to see if he's scared, maybe Merc Tread's coming out early.
Yeah, and it's not a bad choice for the Vladimir here. You're not necessarily looking to carry the game early. And, I mean, yeah, it's a solo kill, but Harmony was trying to back up his jungler there. Javi looking for that gank mid wasn't 6. And Castle, is this a repeat? 6 now,
this is straight up again. They're going for it, but this is a level 6 difference. Nice triple flame. Nutty Bars is going really low. Exhaust doesn't stop the damage. Jiggity is able to get the reset for that jungler, and Castle is going to force the flash on a Braum. Javi is now going to be on the run back to tower, but fourth shot is the crit, and Blueberry feels great. Grabbing his third. OG are able to get a full collapse in the enemy side jungle.
Yeah, and that level 6 difference. You know, the first time, Ordo, when we were talking about that Hemo Plague in the mid lane, Javi wasn't 6 at that point. I was thinking, this is a little bit rushed. Javi needs to hit 6 first. This second time, though, because of that delay, Castle really punishing. And we can look to see them continue to do that on repeat, continuously try and push out Javi. And if they keep this up here, we're going to start seeing 2 level differences coming in some of the lanes. The bright shining light for Wildcard right now is that Axum is still pretty even, and Harmony, despite dying early, despite being down 2 kills, has sat in the mid lane and soaked up experience. So he's actually up levels, which is more important for this Vladimir right now.
Yeah, remember, it's not so much that they lose the early game, it's how gracefully can they lose it, right? So far, not so gracefully. It's rough to say, but it's true. It's not graceful. But being able to maintain at least the CS, at least, like you said, those level advantages will bode well for them. And, you know, so far, kicking up the pace, Castle constantly invading. They're going to have to do that a few more times once they start breaking through the towers, as Innominate tries to force Axum out of that top side.
Yeah, and we already said Axum right now is probably the safest in lane, best lane performing player right now. So I don't think the Renekton's got a great chance at pushing out this Wukong right now. As Wukong levels up, he gets some armor. I'm more curious as to how OG are going to play this out right now. They're focusing very heavily on kills, on jungle pressure, but they've not converted that necessarily into objectives. Herald has been up for almost 2 minutes now, hasn't been taken. Dragon was taken on spawn, and he's dead. That's... yeah, Vladimir, goodbye. And Javi can't get in range either. Nominat roaming down. That's rough to see. A solo kill onto Vladimir.
You know, I had mentioned it in Champion Select when I saw the Ghost for Harmony. I somewhat dislike the Summoner Spell because it doesn't really give you an out, right? You're relying so heavily on that pool to be able to get away from these. But once the chains connect, even if you go in the pool, you're still stuck there, right? The damage is still going to come through. And that's how Mark Boots just played it so well. Solo kill in mid lane. And Mark Boots is now up. 0 cares in the world. That's going to be the Cyclone use, Dominus use as well from Innominate. And Axum not enjoying that flash to follow an Innominate. The Croc wins the 1v1 on top.
And Axum started that fight. I mean, we were talking, we didn't mention it too much, but Axum was the one who went in, looked for that aggressive Cyclone, and Innominate just held that Dominus. If you can't really get him low health before the Dominus pops, that's not a good fight right now. And suddenly that top lane, the one Bastion lane that they had, which was doing fine, not so hot. And with that, OG finally go for that Herald. Once they pick that up, that's when I think we start seeing things really snowball here, Orbital.
Oh, 100%. They get to pick a singular lane. In the best part, both top and bot side are prepped for Herald to take for all 5 plates, right? For first tower and plate. 3 less on the top side. I think that's more like 2.5 bot side. With 3 members, you can easily pressure it down. Cloud Drake coming after the ocean, which means it's going to be a mountain or infernal. Harmony, of course, stepping up once again immediately into the pool. Gonna dodge out on double chains, but Jiggity still says, let's fight it out. Level 5, though, doesn't have the box. Finally hits level 6. That's gonna be a follow-through in Harmony. He's about a quarter damage. So, Mark Boots, keeping the Vladimir in check.
And for Jiggity here, he can afford to go aggressive because he wants the back anyways. So what he's trying to do is burn health, burn mana on this particular play. And he got Hemo Plague. Worth it. Herald dropped into the mid lane as well. This is the healthiest turret. So it feels like they're just trying to maximize plate gains right now. Vladimir is not going to be very good at holding off the Herald. But Javi, 35701, good rotations coming up from Wildcard to at least make sure they don't outright lose that turret.
Yeah, and with no vision for either squad, this is easily going to be an OG's dragon, right? You don't want to test it. It's a cloud. You don't have to worry too much. The question is getting back into this game is going to be so difficult, right? This late game scaling team has 0 winning lanes, and with an Infernal Soul to come up, that means the early game team is going to accelerate this game at a rapid pace. Mid lane, still seeing them duke it out. Wildcard playing off the back foot at minute 13.
Apparently, the Riot Gods have decided that 8 kills in 13 minutes is not sufficient spice. So they've decided to add more damage into the game right now to speed things up. And, whoo boy, now Wildcard are in a really rough spot. You can't afford to give up any of these dragons, really, but you can't really team fight. We've not seen a single Moonfall come through from Javi, and we've seen this problem before. When Javi falls behind, he needs to farm, and he stops ganking his lanes. And this game, I can't fault him. He doesn't have a single lane to go through. Look at their items here. Nutty Bars on a Cull and a Noon Quiver. This is not a lane that can fight. And Castle is set up for a dive.
Oh yeah, when you don't have a mythic yet, you are going to take that pinch. Castle, though, eating a lot of early damage. That's going to be the Heartbreaker breaking it in Harmony, pulling the TP, but can they get much more? Jiggity is going to be able to get out of harm's way, but still going to die to Harmony. And now the party is made. Make it 3 dead for 1. Bot lane for OG, run the map.
And look at Javi on the map there. He's just power farming his jungle. He took one look at that and went, nope. And that's exactly the point. You can't, if you're Javi, help out any of the lanes. 1 TP a piece there, and sure, Jiggity goes down. But if you're burning everything to kill the support, that's fine. OG is going to take that every time and repeat that turret dive. Turret plating falls right after that turret goes down. So Blueberry actually picks up full gold for that bot side, and Axum, unfortunately, I believe, might have missed the last plate on that top turret because it just passed the 14-minute mark.
RMC, this hurts to watch. It's a 6.8k difference at early than 15 minutes. This is ridiculous to see. And Nominate now going to get chanced on, but it's a very healthy Croc. He has Gore Shrinker. He's going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, no Dominus, but that's coming up not too long from now, roughly maybe about 20-30 seconds. I'm Javi, though, potentially looking for his first gank with ultimate. No, he walked away.
Yeah, I mean, and Nominate's going to be fine. You see him walking the wave, knew exactly what was going on because they see the Jhin coming up to help, but that's a little bit dangerous. And Nominate almost gets away. That's going to be the Moonfall. You were asking about it, and it reaps huge dividends. That's going to be 1 in the top side. They don't lose a single member. Curtain Call might have something else to say, but 357 with that big buff shield is going to protect his jungler.
Okay, there we go. So first gank successful coming through from Javi here post Moonfall. And that's what they need to do at this point when you're this far down in the hole. And let's not even look at the goal. Just look at the objectives, right? You've got none of the objectives. 2 dragons have gone over to OG. You're down at that point 10 kills for the side of Wildcard. You just pull the trigger. You try and force plays because yes, you want to scale, but it's not working. Mark Boots is playing with fire and Harmony can't punish.
Well, Harmony's actually doing okay in that trade. I don't know if you saw, but Mark Boots took an empowered Q to the face. So he wasn't really allowed to try anything there. If there's one thing you don't want to do against a Vladimir, it's walk in when he has one of his stronger abilities up. We're going to see the gank come out on Axum, though, straight into the root. A great combination play. They know the clone's out, so might as well follow through. Heartbreaker isn't going to get the slow, but a follow through with the Gale Force is going to allow Blueberry to pick up an assist.
I just feel really bad for Axum right now. His lane was the one lane that wasn't really losing, and then suddenly you don't get to farm, your turret's gone down, and his turret just went down as well. I want to point that out, that Innominate just took it on that wave, so Axum...
Oh no!
Ignite!
Just barely got the heal off one. I think he's gonna win. Oh, I knew that was gonna happen. No, Innominate. Oh, come on. That was the outplay potential. Innominate shuts that down right quick. It was looking like an awesome play between the two mid laners, and the Croc said, I'm done.
Okay, I have a friend in New York who just sent me a GIF a couple of weeks ago about Crocs in your toilet. Just, snapping up. That just sprung to mind when I watched mAAd go in there. Just when you thought you were safe, just as you unclenched from the ignite, and suddenly mAAd just springs out of nowhere, flashes, slices, dices. Ooh, boy, that's brutal. And by now, it's got to be in Wildcard's back of their mind that nowhere is safe. It's not your jungle. It's not even your lane anymore.
That analogy is one I don't think I've ever heard you pull out, and I'm terrified now. That is the stuff of nightmares, I want to point out. But what's nightmarish is it's 10 kills up for OG. They are so close to breaking the 10K barrier difference here before 20 minutes. They know that they're on a timer. They're giving themselves plenty of room to breathe and are looking to take this game one in this best of 5 in style.
Yeah, and even as we saw Herald being taken by the side of Wildcard right here, OG's taking Dragon. And if you ask me what's more important at this point, Soul Point is more important, especially for Inferno Soul. Now, they do get spotted out here. Flash is available.
I almost thought it was going to be a double flash because 357 was like, it's not fast enough. I got to get out of this pit faster. But it's only one. Then the leap. Dragon goes down. And to be facing Soul Point at 18 minutes, Wildcard now have one of the most painful choices to make. Right? You now have to take a forced 50-50 chance at a dragon or almost hope that OG give up the dragon in favor of a Baron.
And that really isn't any choice at all. Even if they do that, you're sitting on one Infernal stack. That's all you've got. And OG got Baron. They can push in. Not a worthwhile trade. I would argue, if anything, right now, Wildcard have their choices simplified. They don't have a choice. You're going to die. So the only question is, how do you want to die? Go out in a blaze of glory. Where do you want to fight them? And that's what they need to start thinking about. Where is the most advantageous place to look for them? You can see that OG aren't grouping up. They don't have to group up. And with their composition against a Cyclone, Moonfall, Hemoplague, they don't want to group up either. So you've got a chance, but you got to be together. And that's not together.
Yep, that's not together. Instead, they find a 3v2. Castle just deletes Wukong off the map. Harmony teleports straight into enemy fire. And this is going to be a split fight. Harmony doing his best to try and get something back. Double kill for the Viego on the back end, but Harmony gets one. What more can they get? Innominate is literally a beastly take. The flash into the sun, triple kill for Castle. He wants the Penta in game one. Don't say Soul. Who's gonna steal it? Blueberry stole it. He didn't think he'd get it. He didn't think the final shot would do it. X9 report Blueberry, because that would have been the Penta.
Brutal to watch. And again, the entire time, Mark Boots was not there. So that should have been a numbers advantage for Wildcard. And that is what they needed to do, was group up together. But they weren't. Despite the fact that all 5 members of Wildcard go down, it was never a 5v4. It started as a pick onto Axum. So Axum was effectively dead before the fight could break out. And now, just shy of 20 minutes here, they're knocking on the base doors of Wildcard here via that bot lane. Baron has spawned, and Dragon, it's still about 3 minutes away. If OG want to, they could look to start up Baron.
100%. This is the one time that I would be okay with a 20-minute Baron take, right? Just, you're fine. You have nothing to lose. You are over that 11K mark. They're at 11.2K gold advantage, and it's in the items as well. And we toggle the gold. Most of them have already spent it, right? Mark Boots straight up said, I'm cool with just going straight up Rabadon second. I think that's crazy, right? We see the Sterix completed on Innominate and Castle, and with the Gore Drinker and Divine Sunder, like, they have nothing to fear whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, even the only thing you have to worry about is getting Smite stolen. That's literally the only issue, but the level advantage is so big. Jiggity running in right here. Oh, this is going to be a slaughter.
Yeah, Axum might have to sacrifice himself. Tried to do a sneaky decoy out, but Jiggity read it like a book. Castle is now godlike. He is going to be hungry for every single kill out there. He is so mad that he lost his Penta. This is absolutely going to be a Baron at 21 minutes. Mark Boots. Mark Boots actually... all right, that was disrespectful. That was 100% disrespectful.
Well, no, I think Harmony played that really well as well, and that's the glory of Ghost, which wasn't up. But if it was up there, you could run him down. Baron being started though. OG saw Harmony bot side, knew the TP was burnt in that last fight here, and Javi being chased up by Phenomena.
Oh, wait, okay. I saw the tower go down. I was so excited. No, I got my hopes up. So sorry, everyone. That was just a tower going down with that Rift Herald. Surprisingly enough, they actually get multiple towers. So for the Baron, they actually do crack open the mid lane inhibitor tower, which is a very minor win, but a win nonetheless.
It was a very good heads-up play from Wildcard, right? They took the second Herald in exchange for Soul Point. And I'm glad that they maximized the use of it. They got multiple turrets, they cracked Inhibitor first, and they funneled that gold towards Nutty Bars. They're trying desperately to get Nutty Bars online so he can dish the damage. But right now, he's only sitting on an Immortal Shield Bow. It's a long ways to go before he builds that Runan's Hurricane, most likely, 4-second item, 4 team fights. And now, you had your fun. You took a small purple thing and pushed down the lanes. It's OG's turn with the big purple thing to push down all your lanes. And the question is, can Wildcard hold on? If Harmony's not with the rest of the team, I'm going to say no.
Yeah, this is... If there's ever a time for your composition to come online and you pull out the perfect wombo combo, this is it, right? I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. So it's your best shot, right? Combo everything that you have. Pray that you can get in there. The problem is they can't go for the dragon, so they are going to have to sacrifice this. They have to sacrifice Soul Point. It's already down. They're split. They're split 4-1. Axum gets hooked directly in the middle. Cyclone doesn't really go off. Moonfall only catches 1. You are willing to make that sacrifice shutdown by the Aphelios, but the deaths are coming in thick and fast. Harmony goes into the Golden Stasis. That is the nominee on the top side of the screen, completely soloing out 4 members. He is going to chase down Nutty Bars, who has the red buff, and the concussive blows to stall away his death for a little bit longer, but that's just a flash play to dead. And Nominate slays Nutty Bars. 357 is going to fall. Nope, not before taking out the support in Supportal Combat. Jump right in. 2 dead, and they'll take it. Ace at 23.5 minutes as OG look to close out a very dominating game.
Well, we said Orbital that Wildcard needed to be roughly, within 10k by about 30 minutes. We're at 24. They're more than 10k apart. And Axum, this is not safe for you, buddy. Heartbreaker is back up, and more importantly, Innominate is there. If he could 1v4 the rest of your team, he can definitely 1v2 your top side.
I think at this point, outside of Jiggity and Blueberry, I think every single member of the OG squad could probably 1v3 or 1v4. I feel like they are that strong. They're that far ahead. It could get insane. Castle's actually going to give it a try. He's now stuck in the bush. Actually, Heartbreaker's out, and he'll jump away from that Q. Javi was looking with blood in his eyes.
I mean, Harmony's starting to hurt, though.
Oh my God.
Okay, forget it. Nope, my boots hurts more.
All right, no, fights. They haven't even recalled from their push, I don't think. They're just going straight back into it. And Nominate is soloing out 3 members. Gets a little bit of a curtain call to end the show, as that will be a final kill picked up. It was a 4-for-0 because Harmony wanted nothing to do with that fight.
Hey, Harmony was pulling his own mini Innominate down bot side there. He was 1v3, and he almost killed some people. He almost found Marcus there, which just almost doesn't count. And now he's back in base here. The timers actually aren't that long. We're only 25 minutes into the game, but no Hemoflake gets caught.
Oh, you know what it helped? Nothing. Not even Flash could have saved him there. That is going to be the final ace of game number 1. 30-7. 25.5 minutes. A full Infernal Soul to kick things off. And Mad City OG put up one hell of a game 1 performance.
Not gonna lie, Orbital, right now I am a little bit in shock because we've spent the last couple of weeks watching Mad City Wildcard, and we've not seen them lose quite this badly in recent weeks here. They are a strong team, and granted, we talked about it in draft. They took a somewhat risky approach with full scaling. They didn't have a single winning lane. But 7 kills to 30 kills was their final score, and every member dying 5 times or more. That is absolutely brutal. And OG, they're serious here. They're not here to play. This is not a scrim for them. Nothing about this was scrim-like. I mean, maybe the FF15 angle was scrim-like. But other than that right now, Mad City OG, they just ran over them every single lane. And full pressure now is on Wildcard. How do you respond to this? I mean, draft aside here, there's also some laning issues they need to look at here. You cannot afford to let OG just take full control of the map like that.
I mean, they may not get full control of the map again, but OG have certainly got the momentum. They dominate game one. We'll see what Wildcards can do in game number two. Please don't go anywhere. The Civil War will continue after this. Welcome back here for game number two and RMC. We can't really sugarcoat it. OG look unstoppable here in this finals.
Well, yes and no. Yes, they look unstoppable. We can't say anything about that, but we can kind of sugarcoat it a little bit here. It is a best of 5. These are the grand finals. It's not your regular best of 3 here. And Wildcard, I feel like what they did in game 1 was partially a strategic gambit here. If you can win with a full 5 scaling composition, it really warps the draft after that, because OG then have to pick 1 or 2 scaling champions for late game insurance, because they know they can't win in the early game. And even if the Gambit fails here for Wildcard, it's only one game. You need to win 3, so there is space for them to pivot, and I'm sure Wildcard have more up their sleeve. We've seen it from them before. More early game based champions coming out here, and that's what we need to see. And my eyes are partially drawn towards Harmony in the mid lane and Nutty Bars in the bot lane. I know that Nutty Bars as an AD carry usually is sort of the insurance for Wildcard. He's the steady player. They pick something that scales up for him, but he's had some really strong laning games as well. And I think that might be what we see coming into game 2, a bit of a pivot here in their mid and bot lanes.
Yeah, and you know, you touched on the bot lane there, and you pointed out both mid and bot. Let's talk about Harmony in the mid lane, right?
Mhm.
On this Vladimir, it's considered a counter if you can get through that early game, right? That's the one caveat is you have to make it through the early game. Didn't look amazing, but if you're limit testing, I mean, hopefully you can bring something else out, right?
Yeah, I mean, the other counters at professional level right now are Lissandra, who I intensely dislike, and Azir. So there are still options to deal with the LeBlanc, and more importantly, for game 2, the teams have swapped side. It's Mad City on the blue side and Mad City on the red side. No, but much to say, it's Wildcard on the blue side here and OG on the red side. So this time, Harmony gets to first pick that LeBlanc if he wants, and it's instead now on Wildcard, pardon me, on OG to see if they want to ban it on the red side here or whether they have a counter prepared to deal with it.
Yeah. I'm honestly partially, and I love the matchup of LeBlanc Syndra. Syndra is always one of my personal counters to it. But like you said, maybe bring out that Azir if you can, try and poke out the LeBlanc early. If you do want to go to Lissandra, if you just feel like you can't, it's not bad to fall back on a utility mid laner, set up your jungler, give your jungler a chance to play the game. But we are into draft for game number 2, so let's go ahead and get into it. Exact same bans for the first set. Second and third is where maybe we want to see a little shift in the tides.
Yeah, I don't know if the Ziggs necessarily needs to be banned on blue side here for the side of Wildcard. I think they can afford to leave that open and try and gauge what it is really that the side of OG want here. That is, of course, if they do play that Ziggs. I'm not super sure if... I know Nutty Bars has played in solo queue, but I don't recall if he's actually played it in the UAL here. But you can see they're really thinking about this one because Ziggs or LeBlanc. And you're taking a gamble that OG is going to ban one of them. If they don't, then you're trading 1 for 1.
Mm-hmm. And it might just be better just to take the 2 ban, ban the LeBlanc, but instead they go for the Varus.
Okay.
And this leaves OG with a choice, right? Like you said, either leave both open or leave none open. They opt to leave one. So LeBlanc is on the table. It is available if they want to try and run a salty run back, given the composition, and just say, look, maybe we'll trade it up. Now we go late game over on the OG side. And it feels like a bait. If you're Wildcard, it feels like a bait. They go, we aren't taking that bait. We'll go for the other one. We'll take the Viego.
Okay, to be fair, I mean, Castle probably had the best KDA that game. He definitely popped off on this Viego with those Heartbreakers. I mean, the entire team was kind of built around it. You got a ton of early burst damage, and then Viego just starts executing target after target. So, okay, it really feels like they prioritized that. But now, if you're OG, you first picked LeBlanc in game 1. I don't see why they wouldn't do it in game 2 here. Thresh being picked up, I mean, that flexible support. We talked about it a little bit last game already. They're already denying that. And I like it. Like you pointed out, the Braum wasn't as effective for the Aphelios.
Granted, dying at level 1 doesn't exactly inspire confidence. The idea was there, though, and we definitely saw it. And this feels like a direct challenge to that LeBlanc. The Azir is going to be hovered, but is going to grab that LeBlanc. Why not? Mark Boots had an amazing game on it.
They're listening to us on cast. They're just trolling us at this point with the Azir. Hey, if you want other LeBlanc counters, here's a Rise. That's the other one that we see a lot of here, right? Harmony, if you've got that in your pocket, now would be the time to whip it out because this LeBlanc really is quite an issue. Now, I'm curious as to how they're going to adapt here. Ooh. We talked about early game mids and bots. Kalista right now is probably the go-to early game AD carry. I know there's Draven exists, but not a lot of people play him. Kalista, on the other hand, gives you a lot of flexibility, and usually you pair that with an aggressive tank support, or Alistar, not exactly aggressive, but some sort of tank support. And there we go. Nautilus countered a Thresh already. You add on top of that Fate's Call with that Kalista, and this bot lane's going to get rough, regardless what AD carry you pick for it.
Yeah, and I would say pick it now, right? If you're gonna pick up an ADC, now would be the best time because you know it's getting pinched. You absolutely know maybe that Ezreal is going to be banned out. So yeah, gonna go with the Ashe instead. Say, hey, we'll keep you at bay. Hopefully the volleys and the crystal arrows will set up for the LeBlanc for the rest of the team to follow through. And this is going to match a little bit. It's gonna be a brand new game because Kalista last time was banned away by Wildcard, I believe. So getting into the second round of bans, the Camille still denied away. OG really don't want to see that one picked up.
To be fair, I mean, the Camille Nar ban was last game, right? We saw Axum on the Wukong, and it honestly didn't look super clean here, so don't fix what ain't broke. If anything, the first ban change already surprised me a little bit, but I guess the moment the Varus got banned, they had to ban something else. The bans are actually all same so far. Actually, the Kindred is a change, pardon me, because the AD carries were banned out last time. The Ashe is picked up. So they're going to try and pinch Castle a little bit more here. If you're going to ban junglers, it feels like you got to ban the Diana.
This is going to be fun. That's a Nara still. We know that one. Here's where it gets tricky. The Diana is still on the table. We knew how it went last time, but with the composition that OG has set up, we could see a difference, right? It would help draw in the Kalista as well. But they have options. So what do you do if you're Wildcard? Do you ban out the Diana? Do you go more for a direct challenge to the champion pool of the jungle? And you do. You ban out the Kha'Zix, another champion that can easily steamroll the early game.
Wow, I am surprised that that was the final decision they came through here. And frankly, if you're the side of OG right now, what you can do is actually just pick your top laner, pick something like the Renekton, pinch Axum's pool even further here, and guarantee yourself a strong top side, and then pair it with the Diana later. Hecarim is a bit of a loop. Okay, Hecarim came back for a little bit because Divine Sunder was strong, but people didn't feel he was as impactful as the likes of Diana, Viego, etc. But I do actually think Hecarim is pretty strong, in a very good position right now with Divine Sunderer. He takes full use of their stats, and more importantly, he bypasses your front lines here. So suddenly this Viego, this Kalista are kind of squishy, and if Hecarim gets on your Kalista, Kalista can't get away.
Yeah, well, one way to kind of make sure that doesn't happen, send a cannon. Slicing Maelstrom is a great deterrent to a rampaging horse. You know, the shock fence is set up in front of you, so chances there, but that's also a blind pick cannon, right? We got to keep that in mind. There are plenty of champions that can counter on the top side, and we know that top lane was ridiculously early game, constant battles between the two. So we'll see what they choose. Last pick to come through. We need to see that mid lane opting for a challenge. Silas going with the skill trade. Oh my, instant, zero hesitation.
I was just, thinking, okay, what does well into the cannon? And I was like, I think the toughest matchup might be Irelia right now. They insta-locked it here. It seems like OG agrees, and I love it, because this was how they won in game one, right? They picked winning lanes and just kind of snowballed, rolled over the side of Wildcard, and they're still trying to do that. Irelia Hecarim is such a strong lane as well, a very, very mobile lane, and it's very, very difficult to try and gank this cannon as this Viego against Irelia. Irelia will be getting nerfed next patch, but for now, she's doing really well into multiple targets if you're not tanky enough. If you're squishy, she just executes you, she just burns you down. But let's talk a little bit about the Silas pick, because we didn't get a chance to talk about it before the Irelia got locked in and got us all excited here. Silas right now is not something we see too much of. He's still up there, but usually he's picked situationally against certain specific ultimates like the Alistair Unbreakable Will. But there was a time where he was pretty much 100% pick ban, and it was the same meta as Hecarim, because he can take that Onslaught of Shadows, gets a free engage into your backline, which scales really, really well. And the other ultimate I like for him to pick up here is going to be that Ashe Enchanted Crystal Arrow to be able to initiate from anywhere here. This team already has a ton of initiate, but anything that allows your cannon to engage more effectively, to not have to look for flanks, is great for this composition.
Freeing up a chance to basically just run it straight down the lane is going to be very interesting to watch. It still falls to the question, how do you play the early game, right? Last time Mark Boots completely shut out Harmony in straight 1v1s, and it's gonna happen one more time. So picking up the Silas, saying, hey, I can still have a chance to fight, no more scaling, maybe combo out at level 3. We'll have to keep eyes on that. But if you are Wildcards, You lost game one off the early stages. Do you feel, RMC, that this composition is a little bit better for them? Do you feel like they have a chance to sustain in the early stages better than in game one?
Indubitably. I think this composition is so much better because they lost game one because they just picked skilling and had no pressure early. This comp is almost the inverse of that. You've got a lot of pressure early here. And if we're talking about winning lanes, Kalista Nautilus, that's going to beat the Ashe Thresh. You pick the Ashe after the Thresh, after you saw everything else, to kind of just say, we're going to disengage, I'm going to kite you back with volley, and basically never let you reach me to rend and get the big damage down, at least on the Ashe. And then Thresh, Jiggity, you're on your own, buddy. You got to stay alive there. But at least you stole them to try and stop the engage. Your mid lane, Sylas into LeBlanc, is actually not a bad lane for Sylas. It's a skill matchup, and it's tougher for the Sylas in a way because you've got more skill shots to land. But if you can land them, Sylas can actually win that matchup there. So that's not that bad. And considering that Harmony counterpicked this, he knew exactly what he was running into. You know that LeBlanc's going mid. He obviously has the confidence to say, okay, my Sylas can handle this. And then Viego. I think Viego right now on this patch 11.16 is the strongest champion in the game still. The resets are still just too easy here. I mean, people say that you have to know all the champions. No, you don't. You just have to know how to press R hard enough. But if you do know the champions, it's also very nice, especially into champions like Irelia, like LeBlanc, where they're not just sort of outbots. There's so much utility outside their ultimates.
Yep. How do you use the Viego and how do you come back from that game one? It's going to happen here. We'll have to wait and see, of course, if OG are going to push to 2-0 in this finals and possibly take it in a 3-0 sweep, or if Wildcard has still something stuffed up their sleeve. We're only a few seconds away, so let's go ahead, go to a quick break, make sure we get you a quality broadcast before we dive in. So please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And we are back. Game 2. The teams have swapped sides, but the rivalry is going to continue. OG looking like they are ready to put a second nail in the coffin of this series. I mean, first one was pretty convincing. Maybe they strike home with this one too.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised here. And my eyes are drawn towards these junglers because in game 1, we joked about Castle getting caught, but Castle was playing very aggressively to put himself in a position to be bait for the team here. And once again, yes, he is, if anything, actually on another champion who should win out early against this Viego here as that Hecarim. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him play aggressively. And more than that, I want to see him influence the lanes because this game, the lanes are not as clear-cut one for OG here and might need a bit of jungle intervention. But if they get ahead, all these lanes can definitely snowball and take over the game.
Oh yeah, and the one that we're gonna really watch is this top lane. I don't think I've ever seen a red side pick 5 that quickly before, right? Like that was, the timer hit 30 seconds for clock down and it was pick 29.5 left on the clock. Like this, it really was instant when they saw the cannon come out.
And part of this is also because these teams know each other, right? Like, mAAd probably is familiar with Axum and goes, okay, I know what Axum plays, what potential picks are here. The coaches did their prep in advance here and probably just went, okay, if it's this pick, this pick, this pick, we've got counters. And this is probably not the prepared scenario.
Oh my god.
Yeah, hey, I mean, if they insta-lock it, there's got to be a reason, right?
Yeah, well, that's going to be the play out. Jiggity, remember last time, Jiggity and Blueberry, as soon as they hit level 2, they went all in. They are not going to get the chance this time around with how Nutty Bars and 357 are playing.
Yeah, Jiggity already taking a bit of damage here from that Nautilus, but the flash hook. Oh my goodness, that was close.
Yeah, Blueberry getting away from that really ridiculous hitbox of that hook is able to stave off a death. I honestly think that would have been death if the Ashe didn't flash.
I agree right now. I mean, Callista's early event damage is disgusting, and honestly, Blueberry and Jiggity just not really respecting the level 2 coming through. I mean, when you've got a Leona and Nautilus on the other side, engage supports, you know what they want to do, and level 2, they want to go in. The minion, though, this time getting in the way, and for Blueberry and Jiggity, early levels, they're happy just sitting back and farming here. They're not worried about making plays, and getting shoved in like this is good for them. They don't have to worry about getting ganked.
They're happy to keep farming up. They're happy to keep trying to scale to level 6, be able to have that crystal arrow up early. Nutty Bars and 357, I feel, are the ones that actually need to make some of these early plays. That's why you saw the flash from 357, right? You want to get this Kalista rolling as quickly as possible. The hops need to come online much faster. You need to be able to move out of the attack range. If not, you're a sitting duck.
Yeah, and for Javi there, Javi on this Viego doesn't really want to necessarily gank early. He's just trying to power level.
Okay, that's the Ignite going down. Blueberry still going to play around, dodges out on that empowered Q. That could have been the death. Mark Boots getting a great distortion off. Back. One more attack might be it. That's going to be the Q. First blood completely pure on the side of Mark Boots. And bot lane, we see another Ignite going off. That's going to be a trade back. Blueberries wants a single volley. Can the volley kill? Yes, it should. There it is. Blueberries and Jiggity each pick up a kill on the bot side.
And like you said, Orbital, it feels like Nutty Bars and 35701 felt the pressure to make a play happen. They kind of forced it a little bit too hard in the bot lane there. And the only good part of that particular play is that Jiggity ended up picking up the first kill there. So it's not Blueberry getting 2 kills, getting incredibly fed ahead. Thresh picking up the kills doesn't really scare anyone here. We're not seeing early Mobies come out either. So not the end of the world, but that mid lane 1v1. That is a problem. The Silas was picked after the LeBlanc. This is Harmony's answer to the Stever, and it didn't work.
Well, what's the answer? If one can't win, you bring 2 more. The fancy suede shoes doesn't matter on point and click CC. And Harmony gets some revenge. Now the top lane, we're seeing a little bit of a dance out though. Axum getting a great stun off, but almost dies when he's a level up against the Aurelia.
Honestly, though, I think if Kennen survives and you're equal in farm, you're fine. You're waiting for 6 now. The revenge hunt to Harmony here.
This is just straight up mid lane, just so mean to each other. Castle goes ahead and picks that one up. It's just revenge. It's a game of revenge tag. I think that's the best way to put it. Our mid laner got ganked. Cool, we'll gank you now, and that's the chain reaction that you I will say I personally love to have when I get ganked and I'm in a 5-man squad. Like, my team's backing me up.
True, and League is a game of 5v5. It's not a series of 1v1 here. I do want to point out, though, that the gank coming through from Wildcard, there's literally nothing you can do about it, right? Like, one CC lockdown equals a chain. There's a bit more skill required with the Thresh there. You don't have a point-and-click stun. So, good play on them to, you know, wait till Harmony kind of engaged a little bit into the minion wave, couldn't get back out to punish. But we have a reset. Everybody's back in their lanes. And once again, Castle the one zooming around the map with the movement speed advantage, with the camp advantage as well.
Bottom lane, these two, it feels so distorted to see as much aggression as they have, but now the mid lane, nice little hook back in. Harmony can't get the trade off though, so is instead going to lose a large chunk of HP as level 6 is cresting. Mark Boots has that double distortion available.
Yeah, it's going to get kind of difficult. Keep in mind, though, that when Harmony hits 6, he actually gets distortion as well. He can just steal it away from Mark Boots, so... You know, not the end of the world right now. Both mid laners are actually going to get really difficult to gank. The lane I think I'm most surprised at right now, Roberto, is the top lane. The fact that Axum is only 10 CS down and actually has a full wave crashing into him. So it's pretty good for this kid. We've not even seen ganks go into the top lane. I would have expected Castle to look top lane early, find some easy kills, and get Innominate snowballing, but that hasn't happened.
It feels more that they're just saying, well, we know that lane's going to win out for the Aurelia, and so far it's good, but Mark Boots takes just a little bit too damage, is able to jump right back out with a distortion. Nutty Bars, though, on that bottom side is going to get tagged, is going to get ganked, and Blueberries gets a second kill. Slicing Maelstrom on the top side. A double shot from the tower means that Innominate quickly has to heal back up. That's going to be a dance in, and every lane is about 50% or lower. That means 357 is going to look mid. Great hook into the kill. One more attack is going to do it. No, I don't think that's the kill. Mark Booth should survive through the ignite. Action across the board. Net 0 except for the bottom lane.
Yeah, not only the bottom lane, actually, the Dragon's about to go. Last game we had Inferno Soul. This time we're starting with Infernal Dragon and Harmony. Still looking. Mark Boots is playing with fire, and I don't like this here. It's real sketchy.
Well, that's because they're going to give it a shot. Jiggity is going to walk in. Gets, I think, a little bit of a dance out. So, again, these supports straight up giving up on the bottom lane ADCs, right? Like, they're just like, no, we're done. We just straight up don't like those lanes.
Yeah, and I appreciate the fact that it's actually 35701 who's making these proactive roams as well. We talked about the fact that this Kalista Nautilus lane was picked to win their lane, and they can't seem to find a way onto this Ashe, onto this Thresh. Blueberry and Jiggity have been playing around the minion wave so well here. So if you can't do anything bot lane, I love the fact that you're looking elsewhere. And while LeBlanc is a bit of a hard target to pin down, with that Nautilus there, you just walk up, right-click, is enough.
Dominant. Seeing Javi be a bit more proactive is slightly catching them off guard, right? OG look like they want to fight so many times, and yet the threat of Javi actually showing up, unlike when it was with this Diana. It's causing a little bit of concern. That's going to be a double stun up, but Innominate gets the Heartbreaker on, is going to go ahead and jump all the way back out. That's going to set up the rest of the team. Mid lane, we get another solo kill, and that's going to be Castle running down the rest of the members top. What is this explosive battle? Mid lane goes 1-0. Top lane goes 1-for-1.
I'm getting scared here, Orbital, for Wildcard. OG seems to be popping off in the early game once again here. And it's Mark Boots, it's Blueberry getting kills right now. That was how it started. And I'm looking at Wildcard here to what can you do? You've got teamfight tools. You've got Slicing Maelstrom. You've got that depth charge soon to be available. Just one more level for 35701. Fate's Call available as well, and Arrow comes out.
Yep, cleanse immediately, but that does mean it's down. Oh, if the chain had landed, I think Mark Boots would have gone for it. But burning that cleanse is a great summoner spell to get out of a Kalista.
Yeah, the cooldowns are not equivalent whatsoever. Enchanted Crystal Arrow, you can fire 2 of those for every 1 cleanse here. So I want to see OG go back to this bot side, but for now, Javi, mid lane. Yeah, I like the roams from 35701 in the mid lane. I don't like the Viego roams as much because it's so much harder to get that CC down.
Well, top lane, we get to see the action once again in Nominate. Every time they go for it, he's having so much trouble. That Slicing Maelstrom is, you know, we said it was going to go in favor of the Aurelia. So far, it's looking like a great deterrent to keep the cannon alive.
Yeah, and you know what? Nominat's diving this turret, right? Like, that's kind of their fault. Oh, bot lane.
All right, well, this time they do get to pull it off, but Jiggity running interference. Hero play. Can't get the hook off, though, and that's going to be the Ren. Finally, they pick up the kill. That's going to be stunned under the tower, though. Revenge has been made as Javi lives with 100 HP.
Well, I'll have to eat my words here. I said I didn't like the Javi gangs mid. They did it till it worked. Now, Jiggity has to be careful. I mean, they're not too healthy, so 35701 and Nutty Bars are struggling to dive, but from mid to bot lanes, roughly about 15-20 seconds here. If Javi had looked bot, they could potentially look for kill, but Castle...
Yeah, I don't think there's anything available. The fear goes off, and Castle's just like, yeah, I'll take my third. Thank you very much.
Fair enough.
Oh, that's a great route. I think this might be a dive this time, and Nominate's going to dive for it. That's just straight up the I'm so done with this lane.
Yeah, that's not worth it as Aurelia. I mean, you're supposed to win. Trading is kind of a loss there, but bot side, Herald does get dropped. First turret going to OG, and 12 minutes. Again, they're looking at almost another 3,000 gold lead here. They don't feel as dominant this time in terms of kills, but their gold lead is still substantially there. The only lane that's really not doing too hot right now is Blueberry and Jiggity, as expected. Struggling a little bit in lane.
Oh, and that feels bad as well. The Herald got a second charge off, which means if a team fight breaks out and OG wins around this upcoming Drake, they could potentially push for a second tower on bot side. Yes, it doesn't sound like a great thing, but in my opinion, it's still so good. A great shot on the Blueberry, but he's still out!
Oh, the coordination between 35701 and Nutty Bar is not quite perfect there. Or was it Harmony's stun actually came out? Sorry, that was Harmony's Enchanted Crystal Arrow stolen away. That didn't quite line up with 35701 there. The predict was a little misplaced, and yes, Blueberry gets out, but how many times?
Rinse and repeat until it worked. I love it so much. Now it's going to be a hook in the mid lane. Castle's going to go ahead, take a little bit of charge. No onslaught of shadows, though. So this is going to be a little bit rougher. And Javi's here for the re-engage. It looks like OG for the first time are punished for their over-aggression. This is going to be Javi diving into the tower. Gets a great little slow. And Jiggity will pay once again. In comes Mark Boots, though. One more auto attack should seal the deal. Nutty Bars is going to try and heal through. Yes. Takes out the ignite. They lose a no one and grab two.
Mortal Shield Bolt coming in clutch here, and now Dragon is spawned and ready to go. Javi is here. Castle about to come up and has Onslaught of Shadows though. So Wildcard want to do this. They need to do it now.
Mark Boost is going to run interference. Great baits back and forth. Knows that an all-in would be disastrous, but what's plenty is a single distortion jump. Harmony 357 and Javi, for all the work that they put in mid, they still have absolutely zero pressure and zero vision directly in this dragon.
They lost it. They lost control of it. Like I said, after they win that fight, they have a very narrow window. They blew ultimates to make that happen here. It doesn't pan out, and OG are able to maintain their lead, albeit ever so slightly. Wildcard is definitely in it this game, and despite the fact that they did lose to Dragon, those kills are important because it does show that they're a bit more proactive this game, and they've got the tools to run the mid game.
Not just that, it feels great to see Javi, of all players, is currently having a great game. 3-0-2. And what was the saying that you said the last time we saw them play?
I mean, it's always a Javi death. Win or lose, it's Javi's fault, right?
Of all times, this would be the best to have it work, and no other way to show it off than Denominate getting ganked for what feels like the 7th time in a row, but the arrow goes wide, and Castle wants a little bit of revenge, can't follow up, though. And that is just going to be top lane dance out. Mark Boots realizes that Harmony wants a bit of aggression, burns the flash out, a distortion in, means that that's going to be the trade. Harmony living with just barely an HP, and he turns it around. Mark Boots with a stylish outplay under the tower gets his 3rd solo kill on Harmony. That's going to be a hook in the top side, though. 357 immediately regrets every single decision he has made on this top lane. He is going to get stunned up. Castle gets the kill 4-1, and that's going to lead to a potential dive. Unnominated, though, not taking the ult. Ace
No way!
Gets them nominated. Dives for nothing, and Axum lives. What is this chaos raining on the top side of the map? Thankfully, a lantern turns it from an 0-2, but Innominate teleports in to die.
This might be a Mad City civil war, but the winners currently are the turrets. The turrets are killing everybody here, Orbital. Top lane dive, bot lane dive. I want to point out that Harmony died because he went into turret range. If he didn't go to turret range, Mark Boots doesn't find that kill right now. And the teams, they're so greedy, they're so hypey. And you know what? I love it.
It reminds me of all the memes that you see about Gotham, right? Just like chaos reigns everywhere. No one knows who's actually doing what. That's all it is, right? Bot lane, Mark Boots gets that third solo kill. I can't preface this enough. It is extremely difficult to get solo kills in a competitive scenario, right? It's very, very difficult, and yet he's done it 3 times. Jiggly forced into the stasis, as that was a great hook for 357, but a hook and cleanse means Nutty Bars is going to throw out the face call, flash out. 357 is now going to eat a couple tower shots, a little bit more, and that's going to be the return. He goes again, but that's another turret shot. Gets through. Blueberry's like, thank you very much. Oh, grab 3. That's going to be sent on Javi. Dash in. Vigos is not going to be used. Teleport coming in. Nutty Bars and Harmony join the battle. That's going to be a grab of the crystallized arrow. ADC is sacrificed. Slicing Maelstrom as well. They grab 2 on the edge of Tower Range Castle. Wants a bit of revenge, but the horse is not so tanky. Fall to back after Mark Boots with the assassination. Oh, Wildcard go. Our card is not so wild when it's hunted by the hunters. The OGs rule this rift in the mid lane. Ram it up. Axum is now gonna fall. And all of that, I'm pretty sure that was an extended ace for OG, and once again, just like clockwork, Innominate goes back to the gray screen.
Okay, so there were 8 kills in that total fight. 3 of them fell to turrets. That's ridiculous there. And these teams, oh, I love the fact that they're fighting. And I want to highlight one small play that started off there, which is when 35701 went in. Blueberry and Jiggity both flashed out perfectly to dodge the fate call that came out there. And yes, they did get hooked, they did die, but that dodging that Fate's call was what caused most of that fight to be under OG's turret, letting them get the win there, sort of softening all the damage, the impact coming through from Wildcard. And for OG, they are starting to scale. We said this Kalista needed to win early, and while 4-4-4 isn't a terrible scoreline, it's probably 4 deaths too many for this game right now. You're not super happy about where your Kalista is, and your Ashe will outscale this Kalista.
Yeah, so true. And I mean, I just want to talk about the fact that this is a ridiculously different game, because not only is the side of OG feeling great about the amount of kills, you have to think Wildcard are feeling good too. They are on course to actually reach the mid game in decent standing. So my thoughts to you, yes, the kills went into Nutty Bars and also some into Javi. Castle is now 7-1-2. Mark Boots has had great flanks the entire time. If you are Wildcard, where are you looking to not allow this to happen? How do you want to approach these fights?
I mean, we've already seen how they want to approach this, right? You steal an enchanted crystal arrow, you initiate with that, depth charge to follow, Fate's call to follow here. I don't care how much safety, how much defense you have, you can't survive all that CC coming through, but they do have to land it, they do have to layer it, and Dragon is coming up.
Blueberries is bait now. They baited it in perfectly, and 357 has to flash out. This is getting ridiculous. Fate's call now called. It's all in the mid lane. Once again, depth charge is going to catch 3 in the air. And that's just a burst out. They delete the support. Support's not allowed to play. Blueberry is getting chunked out. That's going to be a huge Immortal Shield bow. Slicing is only able to delay the inevitable. That's Innominate. Innominate gets so much revenge. The slows are there. Axum trying to speed away for his life. But the horse is so much faster. There we see it on your screen. 8th at 19.5 minutes for OG.
Wildcard, you have no turrets there. There's no safety for you, and Innominate, for the first time this game, gets to run Rampage without the worry of turret shots raining down on his head. And for all that there, OG only get Dragon. In fact, Castle was actually doing Dragon when that fight started out there. If they just waited a couple more seconds, maybe they get Dragon, maybe they can rotate to Baron as well, but the timing's slightly off, and OG, they're up. Out of seemingly nowhere, when the game was starting to look close, almost 6,000 gold now sitting at Soul Point. And we've been here before, Orbital. The gold gap wasn't this wide, but it's really tough for Wildcard, and they're about to be put to the press, through the ringer in about 5 minutes.
And I just feel, I don't know if this is good or bad, but it feels like OG know that Blueberry is their target for Wildcard, right? Like Blueberry has literally been strung out so many times, and 357 so far has taken the bait every single time. Like Blueberry steps up, throws out an arrow or throws out a volley, and 357's like, oh yeah, let's go for it. It's been the MO for the kickoff to every single mid lane fight so far. I wonder if Wildcard are just gonna keep repeating, or if they start trying to track Mark Boots and Anominate, maybe even Castle.
Yo, come on, Orbital. You see that Ashe? No cleanse, no defensive item. Well, you got Immortal Shield Pill. Tell me you don't try and initiate on that. Because if you tell me that,
the rest of the team beats my butt. Like,
who else are you gonna initiate on? You're gonna initiate on that Irelia? I mean, she's fine, but she's probably gonna turn and kill you. That Ashe is the most vulnerable person on the team, and I think it speaks a lot to Jiggity as a support right now that they've never been able to properly follow up on catching Blueberry out. Every time you go on Blueberry, if there's not a lantern, there's Jiggity physically there.
All right, well, Axum, though, is the target of Castle's eye. That's just a straight-up chase. I am Javi. I don't think can get anything here. Castle, all right, took 3 tower shots and just didn't care. So this top lane cannon punished once again.
Yeah, Axum not having a fun game. And even in the last fight, Axum's Slice and Maelstrom only hit Castle. He wasn't able to get into the meat of it. And as the cannon, you need to get in there. You got Rocket Belt, you got Flash. If it's not enough to get you in, I don't know what else is. And now, Wildcard mounting a desperate 4v5 or 3v4 to stop this Baron.
Again, it starts with Blueberry and ends with health bars going down on Wildcard's side. Even on the bot side, a perfect diamond is made to honor the death of Harmony. Dove under the Tower King Slayer, and Nominate gets a solo kill. Wildcard are routed. Mark Boots not done. Gonna throw in a little bit of a Ringer Stun, drops back to the distortion, so Nutty Bars and Javi are able to stay alive. It still doesn't matter, as the Baron will go down. Mark Boots still reaching for those kills.
Phenomena, though, might get run down by Axum. Looking here. Oh, actually has the flash, but you know what? Worth it. You're about to pick up Baron here. If you die here, that's 1 Baron off the table. So OG, worthwhile flash. Really, really solid play. I know we just had a huge discussion about why we're initiating on Blueberry so hard. That was probably one of the few times this game I'm going to say that you shouldn't have gone for that Ashe. You've got a Hecarim who's got the smite. You kill the jungler, and OG has to disengage, but they tunneled so hard on the Ashe once again here, maybe at this point out of habit. Yeah, even if you killed the Ashe, it's still not worth.
And you know Jiggity is on point with these hooks and these lanterns in these plays, right? I have to commend him. He has been one of the keepers of Ashe the entire freaking time. There's a reason why Blueberry has only died 3 times. Jiggity has run interference every single time and done so well with it. So I'm gonna keep eyes, see if they can keep doing it. That's gonna be a lantern out, as a 1-3 with a Seeker in the jungle is gonna be done. That's the play that OG are looking towards to break open the base with this Baron.
Okay, now for the side of Wildcard here, before they were kind of playing and trying to lane equally 1-3-1, it wasn't really working. They don't have a good answer to Anominate. We just saw that bot lane where Harmony couldn't handle this Irelia. Kennen can't handle the Irelia. I mean, it's a 2-level difference, and same with this LeBlanc as well. Who's going to handle Mark Boots? So for Wildcard, you kind of need a group up. Even if you sack turrets in that process here, you're against the Baron up team anyways. You are probably going to lose 1, maybe 2 turrets. If you can at least find a fight, at least find some kills, you take that.
You take that, but we also don't mention that they're specifically on Soul Point. They quietly amassed 3 dragons into their pocket, and Dragon's about to come up at 40. So not only are they looking for a fight, they're looking for a convincing one to not have to face a Soul.
Okay.
Again, that's gonna be a jump. This time they find Castle, one of the tankier members, but no one's really able to get into the back line, and he just jumps on the bars to the back. Onslaught of Shadows is gonna fall over. And Axum joins the fight, and Axum immediately exits the fight. That's going to be the backline decimated in the wake of OG storming this battle. Jiggity survives for what feels like the umpteenth time in Anominate, getting a triple to ace Wildcard. They look like they're going to take game number 2. OG, just over 25 minutes are gonna put us into series point.
Jiggity predicted a 3-0 tonight here, Orbital, and to be honest, I kind of discounted it. Like, obviously you're going to predict the clean win for your team, but they're technically both his teams, and honestly, it's looking like he might be right here. It just feels like OG is playing a little bit cleaner here in all the times that matter. And for the side of Wildcard, we're seeing their adaptation. It's good, but is it good enough? Is it fast enough here? Sure, game 2 was closer. Game 1 was a complete wipe. So maybe game 3, they need to make yet another big adaptation. They're just missing a little bit in all the fights, Orbital. It looks one-sided, but if ever Axum, could get maybe a bit more damage down, if Javi could get resets going earlier, there are tipping points in these games.
Yeah, and let's talk about it. Another one I just want to point out, Nutty Bars. 6-6-4, best scoreline for his team. The trades that 357 and Nutty Bars took can't be discounted. It's the one thing that we saw almost tip in their favor, right? Just a very slight overstep. It feels, you were talking about Axum and Javi, Nutty Bars and 357 feel like they're on the cusp of being able to find almost that enlightenment to turn around in the game 3.
Yeah, and there's one player that we kind of haven't mentioned here. We talked about Axum, Javi, Nutty, 35701, but mid lane, Harmony and Mark Boots. Harmony counterpicked with this Silas. This was an B5 pickup to an R2 LeBlanc. You knew exactly what you were running into. You knew where it was. The only thing you didn't know was the top lane. And Enomina did not affect the mid lane very much here. But Harmony went 1, 8, and 6. And part of this is huge props to Mark Boots. You said, I think, 3 solo kills to start the game early on this LeBlanc right now. And as you rightly pointed out, in pro play, it's not very common to see so many solo kills come down, especially that early into the game. And if you are the side of Wildcard at this point, you've got to be thinking, okay, Harmony's got a huge champion pool, has not played any champion more than once so far in the UAL. Maybe it's time to go on something a little bit safer, something that scales up here, and then we kind of leave the mid lane as a safe lane, as a scaling lane, and we try and influence the side lanes instead.
Yeah. They got to change something up. Again, it is do or die in this game 3. You need 3 games in a row to perform. The reverse sweep on your sister team, Wildcard, are going to give it a shot, but OG are going to try and shut it down. Please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break to potentially see the conclusion or the continuation of the civil war between OG and Wildcards. are here once again. My voice may not be able to contain the chaos that was game 2, but my gosh, was it thrilling. We are now sitting at a 2-0 for Mad City OG, and Wildcard have got to pull something wild if they want to try and have a chance in this series.
Yeah, I mean, their backs are up against the wall. Again, this is the grand finals. There's no losers bracket to fall to. There's no third place match for these teams. You're first or you're second. And like we said at the beginning of the evening here, this is Mad City's last hurrah. Both these teams will no longer exist in this particular form, in this particular organization after tonight. So the bragging rights are not for one split here. The bragging rights between these teams are for eternity.
Yeah, you get to forever lord it over your opponent, right? Like, no matter what orgs they jump to, we'll always be like, yo, you remember that series? You remember that one, right? Yeah. And it's like the little brother beating the older brother for once and just lording it over them forever, for all eternity. You never touch that same game, it's done. However, getting into this, the teams have decided to stay the same, or Wildcard have opted to stay on blue side once again. We will admit the draft in game 2 looked better. The fights were much more chaotic. It just still fell to OG's side.
And for the first time since we started watching Wildcard play here, Mad City Wildcard, it wasn't Javi's fault. It wasn't the jungler one way or the other. Javi didn't manage to pop off as the Viego, but neither was he the cause, the issue, the problem here, right? Your Viego was not meant to be the initiator. And sure, maybe he could have ulted a little bit more, but I do think he still got the kills where he needed to get the kills. The issue was more initiation and follow-up, and that felt a little lacking, perhaps in the damage department as well. So going into game 3, we've seen hyper late scaling. We've seen very early strength coming through from Wildcard. They need to find somewhere in the middle, a happy medium where they are still strong enough early to not fall behind, but it doesn't feel like they lack the damage or that they lack the ability to continue winning fights come the mid to later mid game.
And I think one of the key points that we need to look at, and one that Wildcards most likely have to look at, is Mark Boots. 2 games given the LeBlanc. Game 1, obviously, you can't. It's a little bit hard to predict that, right? LeBlanc is open, doesn't feel first pick worthy, is first picked. Game 2, you let it go through the draft. You didn't think it was a problem, yet this time felt like it showed up even more with solo kills in the mid, great flanks all around in the team fights. If you are Wildcard, what is your answer? You mentioned before, hey, try and maybe pick up a counter pick, utility pick. Is it time to just hard ban that champion out?
Oh, bro, the name of this phase of the game is called pick ban phase. And I think that's the answer to Wildcard's problem. Pick or ban the LeBlanc. If you're not going to play it yourself, you are blue side here, ban it. Because Vlad was a hard counter to it, which you picked, didn't quite work. Silas, not so much a hard counter, more of a skill matchup. Again, didn't work. So unless you've got another hard counter that you're willing to sort of gamble on, knowing that it might not fit the rest of your composition, it just feels so risky, and I'd rather see Harmony play it. Harmony has as big a highlight reel right now as Mark Boots on that LeBlanc. We saw it last week. I want to see it again this week.
And maybe we do, right? Maybe it slips through. Maybe Harmony gets a champion that he maybe feels much more comfortable on, right? That is the chance. And then let's also talk about that top lane and Nominate in game 2. That is the one point that I am a little bit worried about for OG. Felt like he kind of jumped the gun multiple times, and if that transitions throughout the rest of this game 3, it does open up an avenue of contention for Axum to kind of take over. However, we are getting into game 3 draft. We already see the first swap up here. It is going to be the Thresh ban, fully targeting Jiggity, and I agree with it.
Definitely. I mean, Jiggity in that last fight, 15 health, survived 15 health, but drew so much attention away from everyone else there that even if he had died, worth. And throughout the game, those death sentences on point. The dark passages felt even more impactful. And we're seeing the second swap up a little bit as well, which is Viego has been taken out the game. I mean, Javi didn't play a ton of it in the regular season, and I guess he's not as comfortable on it. So if he can't really play it to its fullest extent, he doesn't want to give it up.
Looks like the Varus is going to be banned away. All right, RMC, here's the big debate. LeBlanc is open. LeBlanc is open. I repeat, it is code red. LeBlanc is open.
They're trolling us. Like, I swear that they're listening in on this, so they know jolly well what we're waiting for here. They're showing us all the picks that didn't work. Now Wildcard, show me a pick that does work. And actually, Ziggs would not
All
have a bad
right.
pick there, but Ziggs is open. And you know what? They got LeBlanc, OG, Ziggs. That's something that's been banned away all series as well.
You know what? It's going to Harmony. Let's see what Harmony can do, right? I don't care. I'm happy. See him on something that has a much more priority in the lane. It's not the Silas. It's not the Vladimir. It was a dance around. Now let's see what OG can pick up. 5 seconds left. You know what you're facing. And what else was left up? It is the Lee Sin, another early game jungler for this team. OG slowly building a composition.
Yeah, and we didn't see Lee Sin in the first 2 games because he got banned away. It is Castle's second most played jungler here. I'm still surprised we're not seeing the Diana. I mean, the only nerf she took this patch was a reduction in her clear speed. Instead of 300%, it's 250% on the smaller creeps. So I didn't really feel like it was that big a deal, but apparently it's no longer on mAAD's radar for either of the mAAD teams. But there we go. The Ziggs that got banned away the entire time. And it's not as if you pick the Ziggs to deal with the LeBlanc or vice versa here. They kind of do their own separate things, but what Ziggs does bring to the table is very long range poke and very strong skillings.
All right, I am liking what I'm seeing out of Wildcard though. Ashe now locked in for their side. And then the Camille, this is what I was hoping for. Remember, every single time we saw the Camille and Gnar banned, it was in the second round. Just screw it, we'll pick it up first round. That's all we're gonna do. Give our top laner a good one.
Okay, and the Galio takeaway from the side of OG here. I mean, it's not a bad pick if you're gonna send that Galio mid against the LeBlanc. It used to be a counter, but honestly, at best, you're just kind of nullifying the kill threat to LeBlanc. You're not really containing her in any means. The more important thing is that you're denying it away from this Camille so that you don't see that Camille-Galio combination locked on one target and they just get knocked up, absolutely burst down. We're seeing Diana come through, so jungle bans to be expected against Tabi here. And from the side of Wildcard, Mark Boots does play Rise, so you don't know if that Galio is support or mid right now. And you might just want to ban away that Rise because Rise is another answer to that LeBlanc, which Mark Boots is extremely comfortable on.
Yeah, well, you know, after Vanderill's video, I'm not sure if they want to pick up the Rise. You know, you don't want to leave one person behind by accident. They just hard target the jungle, though. These are 2 great engagers that are taken off the table. And I love the fact that they banned Sejuani because look at the composition on Wildcard. It's straight up easy access, right? Easy engage, straight up Ashe Arrow, Hextech Ultimatum. And Sejuani to follow with a Glacial Prison, just like, nah, we don't want to allow this composition to exist. They ban it away. The Wukong coming out on Wildcard side saying, listen, that breaks up our combo and allows the Galio a little bit too easy access. So banning away signature engagers leaves only skill to play at the end.
Okay, so it's an interesting choice that Wildcard have made here. You get to protect one of your lanes, either Harmony or Axum. And you can see that they've made the decision that we are going to protect Axum, not Harmony, removing the counters to Camille in that Renekton, in that Wukong. Irelia, though, was still up there, and obviously Nominat's still feeling comfortable, confident enough to pick this one up. Are we going to see a J4? Yes, I'm so happy. After the buffs last time, it's not huge, but 10%, an extra 2% damage is no joke. And I already thought that J4 was not in a bad position before. They need some sort of follow-up for this Ashe here. And the Diana Sedge, good bans away, but Jarvan will fulfill that role just as well.
I actually think it does better, right? My thing with Diana has always been, even though you engage, you're very squishy. If you don't have that Zhonya's, you die immediately unless you're the one aggressing, right? J4 doesn't have to worry about that. He normally builds Bruiser. This is a full-on go button composition from Wildcard. They lock in the rel to follow up. They are not stopping until they are stopped themselves by a brick wall of OG.
Yeah, oh my goodness, right now. You know what, Wildcard, I like their composition, but I can see the same thing of their last couple of compositions, right? They're all variations of teamfight comps. Even this one's doing the same thing. They have better initiation tools, I feel like. More individual. Is that for real?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it so much. I love it.
Okay, this came out of left field for me. I was not expecting this. Now, I do like it in lane. Like, Janna counters Rel pretty well here. But I'm just looking at the rest of the composition. Okay, I guess the reason why they picked it was it counters the Camille, it counters the Rel. It does not counter the J4 or the Ashe, though. And now your bot lane is very, very hyper squishy. If Ashe lands an Enchanted Crystal Arrow on either of them, that's a free engage. And sure, Ziggs is an escape, but can you do it fast enough before getting burst down? And J4 as well, your Monsoon against the Cataclysm, it's just pushing everybody up against the wall. So it feels like a very lane-centric pickup here. And as much as I've enjoyed Chiggity's Thresh, I have less confidence in their draft this game.
Well, here's the thing. GD played it impressive, and I mean that in all respect. It was an extremely impressive prediction game with the Thresh, right? Mm-hmm. Where are they going to land with the hooks? Where are they hopping in and being able to react on time? Janna, I feel, is the most prediction-based when it comes between the two, right? With the Tornado, you set it up so far away to get the maximum effectiveness, right? You are guessing where the opponent's going to be after 3 seconds. If that's their plan, you know, yes, the Monsoon is great. If this Janna works, it is the most ridiculous way I think I've seen a team pull off a denial of engage, right? Like, this is, I'll say it with all honesty, if this Janna works, it's a giant middle finger to all engagers across the game.
Well, that is what Janna is, right? For $2.99, she'll take your breath away and she'll stop engage comms dead in their track. My only issue with this is just the Ashe arrow right now and the Cataclysm. I mean, the flag and drag gets interrupted as well. So she is, in a way, a really good answer. She's just not meta for a reason here, and I am scared. But if there's any player who can pull it off, it is Jiggity. I mean, you talk about the Tornado 3-second prediction. Not really. I mean, you don't have to fully charge that Tornado. Even a half-second charge is sufficient to get the knock-up effect. And you're not charging it, or you're not playing Janna for the damage here. Mid-lane Janna is no longer a thing. That was way back in, like, what, Season 1, Season 2. So you're only picking her for the utility here. And she does have a lot of strength to offer. The shielding is going to be massive as well for this Lee Sin, for this Irelia. So it's not bad that way. The other issue I'm having with this composition is a bit of a lack of synergy here between the different champions, right? They're not exactly team fight. You're not exactly poke. You're not exactly... I mean, maybe you're split push. I feel like that's about what OG is looking for, is either we win the lane or we split push with this Irelia, with the Ziggs, with the Galio to give that global pressure. But if they don't find a lead early into the mid game, you can middle finger this team all you want. But if all 5 of them are smashing in, one finger is not going to stop 5 players rushing in, even if that one finger is pressing R very, very hard. If Ashe ever gets a good engage off, if they can punish your map play here with split pushes of their own, if Camille somehow survives the lane here, it feels like Wildcard has more options if they can survive their lane plays.
Yeah. In game 2 was I want to say a test of the engage comp. This one feels like the simplistic answer to just we haven't been able to win a lot of the fights as much as we want, right?
Yeah.
This time, from half a screen away, you get to engage on a single target of your choice. Most likely, you get to zone them away with the Camille ulti, and then you just dogpile, right? At least one of the problems that they had is, again, multiple members were always left low on OG's side. You pretty much secure at least one member will die every single time if you can get the wombo combo off. That's all you want. And if it's Ziggs, that's great. And how well Mark Boots can play, because this is the first time he is now facing the LeBlanc in this series, and also on a drastically more defensive champion.
Yeah, and I love that you highlight this change in champion style, right? Because LeBlanc and Galio are literally opposite sides of the spectrum. LeBlanc is looking to get kills, to get lane dominance, to make all the moves herself. Galio is a team setup champion, and so far we've not gotten to see Mark Boots do that too much. Now, the other thing with a team setup champion is that you need a team to set up here, so it does depend very heavily on your other lanes. And I'm looking at the top side and Nominat on this Irelia again. Irelia is a counter to Camille in lane, especially early on, very, very heavily. And with a Lee Sin to boot as well, yes, they buff Jarvan's damage, 10% stuff, 8% max health damage on first strike, great, good. But against an Irelia Lee Sin, that is still a stronger duo, and I want to see OG take advantage of this. They've been very good about snowballing their winning lanes, and for the side of Wildcard here, you've got a tough choice to make. Do you try and protect this top lane, or do you kind of go, okay, you know what, if you're going to focus our top lane, we're going to cap the mid lane. J4 LeBlanc is almost as scary as a Lee Sin LeBlanc combo, and against the Galio, who can't get past terrain without burning flash, it might be a scarier combo. That flag and drag early allows for some really strong level 2 cheese ganks.
These two junglers, I also want to say, I love the fact that J4 and Lee Sin have both been known as level 2 gankers. Take a buff, go straight into lane. So maybe we get to see even more aggression than we did in game number 2, but only time will tell. We are heading into the 3rd game, so please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this short break. Here we go. We are on to game 3. A heavy wombo team comp from the side of Wildcards with a lot of disengage rounding out the side of OG. It's a drastic shift, but one that apparently was very necessary with the Janna.
Well, I mean, the Janna was the R5 counter here, so the wombo was already built. If anything, they're going to have to play around this Janna. And before we even get to the team fights, though, step 1 is trying to win your lanes for Wildcard. And they've brought the flame for triple ignite here against triple TP. Jiggity walked into this.
Oh, no, Jiggity. That Janna immediately has to flash out. All right, GG. Janna, not the right pick, right? Lost flash, lost lane.
Like I said, step 1, win your lanes. Wildcard, they're executing step 1 really well before the laning phase starts here. Flash traded for an ignite here, and I want to highlight this flashless Janna because Ziggs and Janna is already an extremely squishy bot lane. We said maybe send your J4 to that mid lane, get some ganks rolling there, but you can also throw it into the bot lane. And despite the fact that Javi is starting bot side, which usually suggests an early top side gank, I want to believe that this J4 is going for level 2 cheese.
I think they could do it because I just took a look. I was really curious. Jiggity started Zephyr, which is the aggressive poke skill, has no tornado, has no shield. It doesn't look like it though. Javi is going to let that lane survive. He's going to try and match Castle in the rotation game, but they're just going to go in. Early heal. That is straight up at 50%, saying Jiggity is not going to survive.
Well, they matched trade back on Nutty though, and Ziggs is not really a champion with a ton of level 1 burst, but apparently it's enough against this Ashe right now. And the only advantage is that Nutty Bar still has the exhaust. No heal though, so this is a combat summoner. They are still probably going to be looking to put that pressure down, look for kill threat on the spot lane.
And they went super aggressive. That's an exhaust on Nutty Bars, by the way. Right? Like, there is no heal. There is nothing of the sort. It's just straight aggression. Just, we are going to try and fight. We finally get to see the level 2. I think that's the shield coming out. We'll have to see what Jiggly decides. But Blueberry going ahead and going Satchel. So no Minefield. Saying the Satchel is going to get a lot more value.
Actually, went with the tornado here, so Jiggity looking to try and stop some engages. Honestly, I think it's the better choice here because if you shield as Jiggity, you're probably shielding yourself right now. And there's the AD portion of that skill is a lot less useful when you guys aren't necessarily auto-attacking to get the bulk of your poke down right now. It's a lot of those bombs coming out, that bouncing bomb coming out of Ziggs here now. We are seeing a lot of action in level 3 gank.
Oh, yeah. That was just a solid gank in the mid lane, and Javi is able to pick up first blood.
And more importantly, I think this is the first time we've seen Javi gank before Castle. And I'm liking this look here. Javi looks best when he's aggressive, when he's not having to sit back and skill up here. So this J4 pick, which I'm so excited for, already paying some dividends. Of course, you can't just relax here. You need to continue pushing with it. And Castle did make good use of that time, did manage to pick up that scuttle, secure a bit more bot lane priority while that was happening.
Yeah, and Jiggity's actually going to roll up and try and help out. Javi says we probably shouldn't fight this. Jiggity's only level 2, so that's kind of surprising, and Blueberry's going to be all on his own now.
Yeah, but there's no filter. I mean, this is a Ziggs. As long as you want to sit back and miss a little bit of CS, you'll be safe. Top side, and mAAd and Axum going at each other. Ignite already put down.
Yeah, that's one more. Axum? All right, empowered attack with the foot sweeps a solo kill. And now mid lane. All right, this is getting a little bit rude here. Mark Boots was doing the killing and now is just getting hard camped.
Yo, they sent another person. Javi's here too. Wildcard.
All right, they do get, yeah. Jiggity's dead.
Okay, so this is going to be a thing. That's one of the issues with Janna, same with Sona and most of the older chapter supports. If you blink, you miss it. They're dead if they ever get caught. But Wildcard is throwing so many resources here to make these things happen. Like I said, I like their proactivity here, but I'm a little bit concerned that they might be wasting a bit too much time. Mark Boots?
Yeah, Mark Boots actually dove in. The teleport is called out. This might actually net them one back, but it's Blueberries. So Blueberries actually teleports in, is able to turn it around and pick up a kill as well as keep the momentum in the CS game. Top lane and Nominate getting taken quite low. dives right back in into the minion wave, is gonna lifesteal up, and Castle's here to help out, lands the Q. Oh, such a close 1v1, turns into a 2v1 kill for Castle.
So Axum got that early kill, went back to base, TP'd back in with a Sheen. And that Sheen versus just the boots difference for a mAAd was why they were winning that trade. But you can see how close it is. Despite the fact that Axum almost kills a mAAd in a 2v1, it's not super safe for this Camille. And the moment a mAAd gets first item, they're going to be in trouble. Nutty Bars, no mana, is actually zoned out from safety.
Oh no, is this going to be the kill? Blueberry lands every single bomb. One more is there. Jiggity looking like they want to get it. Dodges out on the bouncy bomb. This is the one auto attack left. Jiggity is rewarded with a kill. 357 couldn't do anything about it. Minefield is going to slow it down. Has to hop out. Gets back on the Cowboy, but straight into the tornado combo with the satchel. The synergy of a little bit of storm and a little bit of bomb craziness, I guess. I don't know. I didn't think this bot lane would actually pick up a double kill.
It's Earth, Wind, and Fire, Orbital. The Earth is where they bury Nutty Bars after they rain down the Wind and Fire there. But that's what happens when you take the exhaust instead of the heal. If you take the exhaust, you need to fight, or you at least need to use it and run away. And when you run, you don't turn back. Javi in a 1v1 is losing to Castle here.
Well, Castle's about to get ganked as well. Heroic entrance is going to land. This might be the chain route. Castle goes ahead and kills off J4. Now he's going to run away, gets the flash out. In comes Axum, level 6, but can't fall through because the Nomin's here. They get the kill on the enemy jungler. They're going to get the soul on Axum, who, remember, is a flashless top laner. Arrow comes in from downtown, doesn't land at all. Trade a 1-for-1. Battle is breaking out. They go ahead and get the Vanguard's edge, follow through, and Nominate this time is not going to die to tower. Instead, goes 2-1 in the mid lane fight.
Gotta feel so bad for Axum there. Axum, I think, spent maybe 1 second of that fight actually attacking. The chain CC that came out, the tornado, the taunt, the knock-up, all of it, the stun coming out from mAAd as well at the end there. And after an early 3-0 start to this game, let's remember, everybody, that Wildcard started this 3-0, had all the action going in their favor, were proactive, and 7.5 minutes into the game, suddenly, seemingly out of nowhere, OG find themselves 7 kills and find themselves in almost 2k gold lead.
It happened in a split second, right? It came out of the blue. What's not out of the blue, though, is Blueberry getting ganked, burns the flash, gets knocked up under the tower, might get stunned up, but they don't have too much damage. The fast-firing autos are going to be enough. Body block is in, but the shutdown is made, though, so they'll count that as a win. Jiggity is going to get the slow. A tornado might be enough. It's a level 4 versus a level 5 support. This is going to be the chase. Jiggity might look for it. Nope, not going to chance. A dive under the tower. Can't get the stun in the mid lane, or the taunt, I should say. So a double chain into an unbroken sigil. Distortion finally breaks it. And for all the work Harmony made, Mark Boots still sitting with a quarter HP.
Oh, man. That was a 2v1. And Blueberry found a return kill on that. And again, it's the turrets. They're doing so much damage here. It feels like OG has learned their limits. We saw that Anominat wasn't looking to overextend, overdive here. But Wildcard haven't seemed to learn their lesson yet. And they are still overextending, trying to get these kills. And once again, I want to highlight this. Exhaust, still not used. This summoner is not paying dividends.
Not just that, the chaos created by OG is netting them so much more in the macro game, right? For all that's been going on, Javi is starting to slowly fall behind in the camp game. They just lost Dragon Castle. Watches as the distortion comes out from Harmony. And they're just dancing it over and over again. The chaos reigning in this game will only benefit one team, and we're curious who it's going to be. It's going to be jumping. Harmony gets a solo kill, or almost a solo kill. Now that's going to be a great Cataclysm under the tower. Mark Boots is able to flash away, and they survive the tower dive. Harmony punished by 3.
And that engage from Castle, that wasn't an insect. That was kind of just going in, Dragon's Rage, and then using the Resonating Strike to follow up there for pretty much what was effectively a solo kill coming through from the jungler. This LeBlanc in Harmony's hands, unfortunately not quite having the same impact as Mark Boots did. This Galio pick is doing its job. You don't have to win the lane. If you are up in CS, that's great. That's an advantage here. But you've nullified Harmony, and now Harmony doesn't have teleport. You can't go elsewhere. You have to face this Galio. And for that, I think you need to start calling more jungle ganks from Harmony.
problem is it feels like this lane is already over, right? It's 10 minutes in, and yet we've seen more roaming from the supports than it feels like we ever see at all. They have left lane so much, and that is the way to play it, right? The LeBlanc doesn't like the current setup. Now it's just a bomb. Nutty Bars can't do anything. One more attack is gonna do it. Jiggity's blueberries? Is he gonna get it? Arrow gonna miss. Actually, it hits, and the bomb is missed, so this is going to be the re-engage. Nutty Bars is still alive. Minefield slows down Javi, but 357 says, screw it, I'll burn the flash. Follow through on the satchel, and they have to leave. Disaster strikes on the gank, and Mark Boots is going to tag too. The taunt onto the tower, into the punch, into the slap. The Giant will not go down. Monsoon! That's why you take the Monsoon. Jiggity saves his mid laner.
Okay, we talked about how Monsoon and Janna was going to be one big middle finger to engage compositions. Apparently, it's there for the dive as well. It saved Mark, which is barely in 35701. You don't want this.
Oh, you don't. And Jiggity should be fine, right? This is no problem whatsoever. This is the triple TP, by the way. We were mentioning it. It's triple ignite versus triple teleport. Blueberry is just like, screw it, I win this lane now. He comes right back, full HP, full mana. Nutty Bars on the other side, unfortunately has to recall, and that is going to give Blueberry so much time to soak up XP and farm.
Nutty just got back to lane. Nutty almost died the first time, had to go back to base, came back into lane, was there for what, a wave, maybe a wave and a half, and then Bad Trade has to go back once again right now. It's to his credit that he's only about a wave and a half, 2 waves behind Blueberry right now, considering the amount of action we're seeing. And both these teams are making good use of their teleports, good use of their globals. Knockup coming through.
And looks like Mark Boots this time is going to try and get out. Does get it off. So is able to use the hero's entrance, which leaves Javi out in the open. They turn it around to Harmony. Eats a huge bomb to the back of his head. Castle's going to go straight for the kick. Gets the kick off, but can't follow through with it. That's the Sonic Wave. Castle gets a heal too. Oh my gosh. OG playing like they know each other forever. Keep everyone alive in the tower dive and get a tower to follow. Nutty Bars with the arrow for consolation. This is going to be a Hextech ultimatum kill. Axum getting a bit of revenge, but now stuck in the wrong side of the river. Rest of the team is collapsing. Justice punts up, and Jiggity takes the kill down. 3-1-8 for the Janna.
You say it's the wrong side of the map, Orbital, but that is Wildcard's side of the map. That was their jungle that Castle was invading on. And once again, it just feels like OG, they played to their strong side. They got Castle ahead. Well, I say it's their strong side, but Blueberry and Jiggity are actually up significantly, and perhaps they shouldn't be. But they're winning the early game. They're winning the lanes, and then they're pressuring in on the jungle. Wildcard are desperately fighting for their own lives here, and look at the ward vision as well. There's really scattered, but generally solid warding from Wildcard. But OG, because they're the proactive ones, they just need to set up vision where they're going to make plays on.
Yep, a dominant now, gonna face the Wrath of 2, flashes away from the Spore root, but that still means that you are stuck in dead man's land. Javi allows the kill to go over to the Camille. Now it's Harmony's turn to eat a little bit of a gank. The kick lands on a minion, so Harmony should be able to survive. No, doesn't really have much else. Second kick out, misses on that Gorge Drinker, is gonna hop right back out. Castle should be fine. Still, strong attempt, burn everything out of Harmony, who is now very susceptible to any sort of engage. Bottom side, sees the Shirelia's battle song called as Jiggity almost goes down. Ignite finally gonna be put to use. They get one and are gonna try and turn around. Bomb lands one more time. Flash in, flash out, and the kill with the Leandries is gonna net the 4th for Blueberry.
Jiggity's Janna right now, it's not about protecting, it's not about safety here. They're using it aggressively. Shirelia's in, followed with that Zephyr to slow down the target, allow them to punish, and it feels like Castle is just reaping the benefits of this bot lane. Blueberry and Jiggity don't need much more help down here. They're already winning it, and that's letting Castle go for the dragons. 2 dragons taken. Ocean Soul this map, and Mark Boots gets out by the skin of his teeth.
That is an interaction you hate to see if you are a J4 player. You lose your ultimate with Mark Boots only using a basic ability. Javi's punched in air right now.
Yeah, that really hurts to see. And we already said this Galio is probably the easiest lane to gank. You're going for an Irelia, she can dodge out, bot lane, satchel charge out. The only other target is Jiggity on this Janna. And honestly, the action has been coming so fast that the junglers haven't had too much time to look bot. Now, it looks like topside is going to be the nexus of the Nyx play coming through here. And OG are in first.
Yep, they're going to try and take a little bit of fight. Axum actually brings it in. Hero's Entrance is going to be used. Vanguard's Edge lands on two. That's going to soul
though.
Quite a little bit. And Nominate still in the middle is going to take it up. Still going to survive Castle. Next one on the docket. Janna eats the arrow for their team. Everyone is so low into the tower, but Harmony is ready to go. Picks up on the back line. They're going to draw everyone in. And this might be the overextension. This might be what Wildcard need. The attempt is made and they lose no one. OG lose 3. And Wildcard say thank you very much for the shutdowns.
Slivers of health here, Orbital. Yes, if you just look at the kills, Wildcard won this handily. But look at the situation. They are barely alive. OG, if they get one, they maybe could have reset. And all this happened under Wildcard's turret here. It's really rough for them, but they got the gold. That's what's important. And more importantly, Harmony got 2, Axum got 1. These are your carries. It's not Nutty Bars. Nutty Bars is utility here. It's the Camille, it's the LeBlanc who you're looking at to try and carry the mid game.
I tell you, RMC, if that were the compositions of game 1 and 2, that would have been the ace, right? Like that, we would have seen a 16.5-minute ace. They would have pushed down 2 more towers, and that would have been what would feel like the game over. Just their composition didn't have the right amount of damage, and it provides relief. Wildcard, given an opportunity now, I missed my opportunity, but I want to point out Jiggity had Shirelia's battle song up before Harmony got their own. So this is kind of the disparity in the teams right now. This is going to be an Ocean Soul coming up, though. So one of the more passive souls that we've had this game.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, support mythics are cheaper, but still, supports don't have enough income to really make it work. And it looks like they're still trying to force this dive top side here coming through from OG. I mean, the turret's low, so I understand why they're doing it. Blueberry just needs to walk up here, and Herald is up. So OG are looking to try and grab the Herald, and then maybe try and make proactive plays. But look at what the rest of Wildcard are doing. They knew top was gone, so they're pressuring the other lanes instead. They're just trying to make sure Axum doesn't go down with this turret.
Keeping well in line, 5, 3, and 2, opted for the Trinity Force in trading power, not the Divine Sunder that we normally see.
Yeah.
And maybe it bodes well, right? Maybe this is a change that Wildcard need if they want to fight this off. Dragon up in 1.5 minutes, so you can see Harmony jockeying for position, trying to deny maybe some of the vision early on. Maybe get his team down there.
Honestly, Trinity Force is not a bad mythic right now. The reason why we see Divine Sunder so much more is because usually they're tankier targets to chew through, and the percent health damage tends to feel a lot better. But if you're facing a whole bunch of squishy targets, Trinity Force can do a lot more. And Axum's job right now, if you look across, who's tanky, right? Irelia, kind of, but she went Blade of the Ruined King. Killable. You look at Castle, he's gonna start building tanky, but for now he's just on the Gore Drinker. Again, killable. Mark Boots, Blueberry, Jiggity, all squishies right now, and they found Mark Boots.
Oh, that's a great jump out of the taunt. And I mean, Mark Boots, you just said it, squishy to the damage of Axum. That's going to put Axum on a killing spree. Just a little bit extra gold so far, leading the team, and is second in the game, highest with gold, 8,800 to their name.
That's actually really important that we did see in Mark Boots go down to Axum there, because only Nominat can deal with Axum, and Nominat's the one person without TP, so they can't send Mark Boots, they can't send Blueberry to deal with split push. TP coming in from Axum, looking for the deep flag.
Yeah, they're gonna give it a shot. That's gonna be Cataclysm. They do catch the Janna sleeping, and that's one of the downsides. So now they're gonna chase under. Axum gets a clean cut with the foot.
8 TP.
And that's 2 easy kills. Mark Boots now gets a little bit of a slowing field, but remember, it's a 3-on-5. I don't think you want to take that.
No, and it's not even just a 3-on-5. It's a...
It's a 4-on-1. I think that's what you meant to say. And Nominate dodges out on a few abilities, but the rest rain down on the parade. Teleports straight to death. And Wildcard for the first time, and it feels like the entire series, pick up a singular dragon.
Pretty much. I actually do believe this is the first dragon they've had all series long, and it bodes well for them because they're starting to make the right plays, the proactive plays. Axum getting to that fight first, and OG honestly looked a little bit confused, unsure of themselves when they lost their members so early on when Blueberry and Jiggity got caught. What I was going to say was, it's not a 5v3, it's a 5v2 or a 5v1 because they're split, because you're trying to look for a flank on Irelia, but you don't have the front line to back it up. And now the gold, sure, it's a 2k gold advantage for the side of OG, but it's not feeling that way. And with this turret take, with the pressure they can continue to exert, it's really on OG to try and regain control with this composition that we had said before. Doesn't seem particularly cohesive.
Oh, they want to do so many different things. I think we kind of saw that in that team fight. What they do have strength in is the fact that one, Castle is very strong, should be able to help carry through this mid game with some of the assassinations. Two is Blueberry, right? Has the minefield, has so much utility to knock away some of these engages. If Blueberry is able to stay alive, we could see damage pumped out of the wazoo for this OG squad. They want to end it here, right? You gotta feel like they want to end it here. And Blueberry now getting pinched. Harmony ready to follow up on that. Some Blueberry is gonna get very, very low, but the Hourglass is gonna keep him alive. They're gonna jump right in. They caught him right around that Baron pit. They are fine with this fight. Mark Boots unfortunately clips a wall and can't get the knockup. So the all-in from Wildcard is slowly starting to net advantages.
And once again, mAAd looks like he has TP now, but when that fight started, he did not. So again, Axum just first to the play this time, walked up there, and they can't take Baron. It's too early. They don't have enough damage, and Castle is still alive. You just mentioned that Castle, being that potential Fed member who can carry them through the mid game. I don't know if that's true anymore, because I don't think anybody can deal with Axum. The original answer, Irelia, is 2 levels down. And sure, Irelia beats Camille, but that's when you're within touching distance of each other. 2 levels is a chasm between the two of them.
2 levels? It's 2 levels plus Ignite. Remember, Axum still has that combat summoner. So no matter what trades are made, Axum will have the same strength as any solo lane. Not just a split pusher, I want to say solo laner, right? Now 9, 3, and 4 has a 700 gold bounty on his head. 11k now leading the entire team in the entire game by miles ahead. Next closest is 9.6. 2k up on anyone in the next order, so that is drawn into that Hydra, the Trinity Force, and probably that Styrex next.
Yeah, and that Ravenous Hydra right there for Axum, that's your pushing power. And now, there isn't really anybody who can match. The only people who can push hard enough, fast enough, is maybe Blueberry, maybe Mark Boots here, but they're not safe to go into the lane, and we already touched on the mAAd. Castle can't lane either. He was ahead, but look, he's down a level as well. All of OG is falling behind, but they do have 2 dragons to their name, and they've got good scaling here. Ziggs will scale up. Eventually, Camille will kind of max out on items. Irelia will start to patch back up again, and Irelia is still the stronger of the matchup. So OG, you're just trying to buy time here. Make sure you don't lose anything else. And step 1 of that, making sure you have vision on this Baron, on this dragon.
Well, that's one way to do it. A little bit of a hop over 357, put Harmony into a very dangerous situation, which means the bot lane is going to break out in a fight. I don't think Untitled wants to fight this, and a convincing solo lane kill by Axum puts him in a godlike state.
Not even close. Ignite was burnt, however, so maybe they could look for a gank, and we have to look at what tools OG have, right? They've actually got 2 globals on their team in addition to 3 teleports. But we've not really seen the globals used too much here. They're kind of having to group up, and nobody can go reinforce mAAd. If that had happened, I think we see Wildcard just pushing and turning the tides immediately. Because Wildcard, while Harmony was caught out-ish, I mean, you went into that yourself, but you still have a lot of damage. If you don't die, you can always come back for round 2, and I think that's what they were kind of threatening there.
And it worked, right? No way about it. It worked. You were able to get away with the kills. This is you now feeling a lot more powerful. And we had a little bit of Jiggity deciding that they didn't want to play. Arrow goes straight down. Harmony is caught. This might be the pick that they want. Half health on that LeBlanc, and Castle needs a little bit of help. Is able to go into the stasis. Can jump out. Immediately flashes safety. And they live. So saving their jungler for this upcoming dragon. OG stave off death by mere centimeters.
That was huge to try and save Castle because he's your jungler. If his smite's not there, there's no contest. But it did cost an ultimate and a flash here. OG a bit on the back foot. What they're trying to do now is just try and keep Wildcard out. The poke coming from Blueberry is starting to hurt quite a bit here. And for the side of Wildcard, they're looking for the engage.
Yeah, and that's going to be a satchel right back out. Hobby has actually bounced up a little bit too far, and the pinch has made it go big in front of him. They found the damage. Is this going to be OG? Bring it back a little bit. Control Harmony. Looking for the backline, but can't find it as bomb. Means he has to run away. One more auto attack is there. Jiggity tried to throw a little bit of a Zephyr flash in. Can't find the bomb, and then re-engaged by Hobby. Looking to save the team, and that's going to be Cataclysm grabbing so many. And they found a pinch. 2 for 2, but Innominate is so strong. Axum looking for a little bit of revenge. Remember, Axum is a strong one, but they get the top. OG in the midst of what could have possibly a game out of their control, rip the steering wheel right back and say it is ours to win.
Ow! They should not have been allowed to do that, Orbital. They're so far behind there. And we talk about Harmony coming to clean up here, but it was Innominate coming in and just absolutely ripping everyone to shreds. Harmony, the only one left alive, but you can't walk into that. And I want to point out that the survivors of that fight, Axum, Harmony, the two big damage dealers on your team, were there to try and stop it, and they were not able to do so. OG, their team fighting is just cleaner.
It's just that Wildcard kind of funneled themselves into that choke point, right? You used everything to try and catch out Castle in the earlier stages, right? You did burn a few HP bars, you know, you're a little bit dangerous, and you funnel right into the Vanguard's edge, right into this point, and you regress too hard. Hobby got knocked up, right? The Cataclysm didn't come down until much later. OG, you said it, yes, played it so well, but you could feel Wildcard maybe forcing that fight a little bit too much. They're not down and out yet. Yes, you gave up the dragon. You're still on par. If that fight showed you anything, it's that if you get the right engage off, you have the potential to still do massive damage. It's not like game 1. It's not like game 2, where it's out of your control at 24, 25 minutes. Remember, the game was over at the time in game number 2. Still plenty of time for Wildcard to find a chance.
And on top of that as well, OG, you can, if they get to an area first to get good control, Harmony. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, almost gets the second section, but that is going to be Hobby jumping in. You got the great pick, followed up by Jiggity. Again, that stasis only going to do so much. Out with the shield and flash. So only get one, but it's the right pick, right? Ziggs, the main source of AP damage is no more.
Yeah, and despite that Wildcard, they're not comfortable enough to try and take Baron. Your Ashe right now is sitting on Immortal Shield 1 with Zen. This is not the Baron taking Ashe. No Blade of the Rune King. There's no Kraken Slayer here. So they're just going for turrets. I do want to highlight, though, Harmony did pick up the Magi before that fight. Now on 18 stacks right here, he's skilling, and he hasn't dropped a stack yet since he picked up that Magi.
And that's what you love to see if you are a LeBlanc. You know, Harmony possibly feeling empowered this time, playing the LeBlanc, the champion that's really shut him down for the first 2 games, but they're going to try and force this again. They are split. This might be a chance to jump in. Can't find the sun on Nutty Bars. Vanguards, though, is easily the counter, and they just destroy that Ashe. Harmony coming over the side, but only finds a very tanky castle, and Jiggity very low.
He's insane. You know what? Like, I'm not even liking this Janna pick all that much. We're not seeing the disengage come out, but Jiggity's making it look good. He's initiating with this Janna. He's running in. He's soaking the damage, and now they're doing Baron. This is kind of risky. Monsoon's healing them up, but all of Wildcard's here.
This is the most chancy Baron that we've seen, and Harmony jumps right back in, able to find the final chain, but the shield is up. Okay, Baron is still baited, though. Harmony did their job. Who else is going to fall? A final sigil lands. It's out of 4-on-4. This is very doable. They go in, back and storm into the Cataclysm, into the hero's entrance, though. Look at the knockups, the combos are just too dang strong. Baron is gone. Castle got it. Castle got the Baron, and OG wiped the fight. That is immaculate 50-50 taken, and the gambling gods of Riot reward OG for their aggression.
I mean, at that point, is it gambling or is OG just more comfortable together? The way they split their focus, and now Harmony might get picked out here. They can't defend this push. They're gonna lose this turret. They're gonna lose mid turret as well. Castle split pushing and OG. This has been the closest game yet. Wildcard looked like they were coming back into it, but OG refused to say die. 5,000 gold lead. Baron pushing it, and let's not forget, Ocean Soul in a minute.
RMC. I don't think I've ever felt as hype as that moment. That was the culmination of stress, of desperation on both sides. Harmony tried so hard. Rescue Squad dogpiled in. It looked like the perfect engage, honestly, for both teams. And now what do, right? This is getting down to mere inches of just executional difference. OG looking like in the next 40 seconds to close out this game.
Yeah, if OG win at this Dragon here, not only do they win this game with Baron, they win the series better. Nominate gets caught.
Yeah, Nominate gets exhausted as well. They're going to get the stun, but all the shielding comes through. Mega Inferno Bomb is going to land, hits everyone. And again, 4-man taunt. Mark Boots says, no, you focus me, and our team wins. That is going to be 2 dead. Nutty Bars, Axum, and 357 are on the run. Dragon doesn't matter anymore. Axum has to dip right out. Nutty Bar is going to eat the winds of war. The taunt almost to follow. And that is going to be what I think is game 357 run out of the base. Mark Boots collects a rightful 4th kill. OG are going to be your unified Advanced League champions in dominating fashion, in 3-0 fashion, in the cleanest or not so clean game 3 that we've seen. The fight continues, the ace comes through, and with that, Galileo slams the doors down. No chance remaining. Welcome to the League of Champions. OG reign supreme.
Well, Bruno, we said mAAD would win tonight. We said mAAD would lose tonight, and it happened. But it's OG, the original mAAD City team. After many, many splits, they are veterans of what is now the UAL, what used to be the UCL. They've been through tough spots here, and at the end of the day, they made it back in last split, third. The split before that, they didn't even make it out of groups. Quarters, second. That's their run so far. And finally, right before they leave the UAL for good, they've managed to clinch it. And huge props to Wildcard as well. Their run has been nothing short of amazing. Even within this series, the improvements between game 1 to game 3 were amazing. Maybe if they had one more game, they could turn it because they have been getting better. But unfortunately, best of 5 is already very long. And OG just had their numbers start to finish.
Listen, maybe this arc is done, but another season is on the rise. Both these teams have shown immaculate play, but OG just one step faster, right? Their clean coordination mid to late game dominated this game 3, and that's all it was, right? That was all it was. So RMC, I think we said everything we could about these amazing teams. I want to ask you, everyone's favorite question. Who do you think gets the MVP of the series?
Oh man, this is I think the hardest split, the hardest game match to call an MVP for, because really, OG were a machine. All of their players really stepped up. I mean, Nominate game in multiple games won their lanes right off the bat. And Mark Boots was looking incredible here, but Jiggity, I mean, so good. I'm really struggling to call this one, Orbital. I think if I were forced to give one name, I would say it's Jiggity. But it's more just because Jiggity's their captain more than anything else. I think every single player stood out. Like Castle's plays were insane. Blueberry quietly, consistently putting out the damage as well. I mean, I remember that game 1 game, which is absolutely nutty on that Jhin as well. So huge props to the entire team.
Yeah, I agree. I asked that question just because I wanted to see the answer. They're all MVPs. Everyone stepped up, and hopefully we get to see this team perform again, maybe under another name, maybe under another org. But it would be a treat to see them and Wildcard maybe face off on the opposite side of the orgs. That will, though, be it for us here with the Unified Advanced League. The entire summer split has come to a close, and what better way than that game 3? If you have watched us tonight, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Orbital. With me is a random minion caster, and with Domcast on the back line, we say thank you so much for tuning in, and have a fantastic evening.